Hare Krishna. Welcome back. So we are discussing from second shloka of Catus-sloki-bhagavatam. Prate artham yat pratiyeta na pratiyeta chatmani tad vidyad atmano mayam yata bhaso yatatama. So by atmano maya, sometimes Lord reveals the objects, sometimes hides the objects with the help of his energies, which are like abhasa and tama, brightness and darkness. So atmano maya stands for two energies. One is Mahamaya, other one is Yogamaya. So with respect to Mahamaya, we discussed yesterday. Mahamaya has two energies. One is Vidya, one is Adavidya. So by Vidya, we see the real objects and we don't see false objects. By Avidya, we see false objects and we don't see the real objects. Like four combinations are happening. And then there is a second meaning to the same verse. The second meaning with respect to Yogamaya. Atmamaya stands for Yogamaya. So what does Yogamaya do? So what Yogamaya does is, especially in connection to our Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas, the Lord performs pastimes in two ways. In Aishwarya, in Madhurya. For Aishwarya Bhaktas, the Yogamaya sometimes reveals Madhurya and sometimes hides Madhurya. Or sometimes reveals Madhurya and generally hides Madhurya. And for Madhurya Bhaktas, Yogamaya sometimes reveals Aishwarya, other times hides Aishwarya. So that is how Yogamaya functions in relation to pure devotees. That examples we will see now.
So in Vaikuntha, the influence of Yogamaya is there, but that when
only Yogamaya is there, only the influence of Yogamaya will be there.
So influence of Yogamaya only when happens, then the Madhurya.
See, in Vaikuntha, what happens, we don't know. Let us see what is happening here. What scriptures talk about what is happening here in the material world, not in Vaikuntha. So in the material world, we have two categories of devotees, Aishwarya Bhaktas and Madhurya Bhaktas. So in relation to Aishwarya Bhaktas, Yogamaya reveals Madhurya sometimes. Example is Brahma. Brahma को reveal किया ना? क्या ना?
Brahma is Aishwarya Bhakta.
हाँ. For all practical purposes, Aishwarya Bhakta. For him, Madhurya is revealed. Krishna showed Vrindavan to him. For Aishwarya Bhaktas, Madhurya is revealed. Sorry, for Madhurya Bhaktas, Aishwarya is revealed. Like Arjuna, universal form is shown. Full Aishwarya is shown. The second meaning of the verse spoken of the qualities of Yogamaya, the Shakti arising from Lord Swarupa, which functions to reveal and cover his form, qualities and pastimes under his will, and which clearly act even upon people who have realization of Brahman. Even for the perfect Jnanis and Yogis who have the realization of Brahman, for them also Yogamaya functions. So then, the same verse can be read like this. The verse was Rute artham yat pratiyeta na pratiyeta chatmani tad vidyad atmano mayam yata vaso jatama. Same thing can be seen here like this. That verse was in relation to Mahamaya. If you want to see that, read the same verse in relation to Yogamaya, it can modify like this. Satyam eva pratitam syad yato asatyam tata yata tad vidyad atmano mayam yata vaso yatatama. Satyam eva pratitam syad. Generally, Satyam is revealed. For Aishwarya Bhakta, Aishwarya is revealed. For Madhurya Bhaktas, Madhurya is revealed generally. But sometimes, for the special flavor in pastimes, Madhurya is revealed for the Aishwarya Bhaktas and Aishwarya is revealed for the Madhurya Bhaktas. That is only for small time. Just to increase the flavor of the rasa. So it's like check it out. नहीं वही श्लोका को मॉडिफाई कर रहे हैं. If you want to explain the same shloka in terms of Yogamaya, we have to read like this. He is telling this shloka is not there somewhere. वो श्लोका को थोड़ा मॉडिफाई कर रहे हैं. Rite artham yat pratiyeta there na satyam eva pratitam styan yato asatyam tata yata. So it's like that same only. Understand my internal energy called Yogamaya. By this Yogamaya, spiritual or material objects useful for a certain person, certain purpose are revealed or are covered at some other time to a person who has directly realized Paramatma. One should understand that material Maya covers objects from view without a spiritual purpose, whereas Yogamaya covers objects with a specific spiritual purpose. Whatever Yogamaya functions, that has a spiritual function. Whatever Mahamaya does, that has a material function. That has no spiritual function. So like that. In the case of Yogamaya, Yata Vasa Yata Tama means just as pot or a cloth lit by a lamp is visible, and when it is covered by darkness, it is not perceived. That Yogamaya, by my will, has the qualities of revealing and obscuring, like light and darkness. Sometimes Yogamaya reveals Madhurya, many times it hides, like that. Yata Vasustama. One first example. Now there are so many examples. Let us see one by one. In order to show that Mother Yashoda's love could not be restricted by a show of Lord Krishna's power, Yogamaya revealed the material universe within his stomach, while simultaneously revealing the spiritual forms of Gokula, Yashoda and Krishna. Bewildered by Yogamaya, Yashoda perceived that directly, and after a moment did not perceive it, since Yogamaya covered that realization. Yogamaya showed it only for few seconds. She asked to open mouth. Krishna opened mouth. And she saw everything. Then she said, what's happening? The Devatas are playing trick with me or something like that. She was contemplating. Then she was about to think that, okay, Krishna is Narayana, I am ordinary Jiva, I am falsely thinking that is my son. Then immediately she forgot that. Then Krishna embraced her and she began to feed him. So, like that. Second example. In order to show how prema is restricted by realization of power, Arjuna realized the universal form and the form of Paramatma when it was revealed by Yogamaya. Because of the covering of Yogamaya, Arjuna did not experience the Swarupa of Krishna, which was still present. Krishna is there in the battlefield. He is showing the universal form. Arjuna seeing Krishna and also Yogamaya, universal form. But he became disturbed by Yogamaya, universal form. He said, my Lord, please forgive me. I was considering you as my cousin, as friend, and all these things. I was sleeping with you, dining with you, and speaking to you, joking words and all. Please forgive me. So many prayers, Arjuna says. Arjuna was really affected by this display of opulence. But Yashodamaya did not affect so much. So in that way. Arjuna did not experience the Swarupa of Krishna, which was still present. At other times, he did not experience either the universal form or the form of Paramatma, which was covered by Yogamaya, but experienced Krishna's two-armed form. This is how it is different from Yogamaya acting on Yashoda in the first example. You tell me how it is different. Both are same only. Arjuna and Yashodamaya both are same.
Arjuna knows Krishna is pre-personated body also and friend also. But Yashodamaya do not know that Krishna is supreme personality. She knows
that is not. Difference is when Yashoda saw everything in the abdomen of Krishna, she thought somebody else is playing tricks with him, with her. She did not consider Krishna is only doing all these things. She thought somebody else is playing trick with her. I'm a simple ordinary woman. Why somebody else has to play with me? Am I becoming crazy? Like that. She was finding fault with herself or somebody else. But in the case of Arjuna, was firmly convinced. It's like Shima Mangve. That is the difference. Yogamaya did not affect Ashodamaya. But in the case of Arjuna, it sufficiently affected, thoroughly affected. Arjuna is firmly convinced and then began to offer prayers and forgiveness. That is the difference. Because the prema of Mother Yashoda was so much for Krishna, she did not find fault with Krishna. Fault in the sense, she did not accept what was displayed is the display of Krishna. So like that. She was trying to analyze, okay, Narayana might be doing this one doing this, like that. She thought. This is the difference. Prema overpowers Aishwarya. So Aishwarya failed to disturb Yashodamai. So Aishwarya withdrew herself. It's like that. Third example. In order to destroy Brahma's thinking that he was the controller, Yogamaya, by showing sweetness and power, made the real cows and cowherd boys invisible, and showed cows and boys who are Krishna himself, and then made those forms invisible, and then showed forms of Vishnu with 4 arms. Then Yogamaya made those Vishnu forms disappear and showed the form of Krishna. Brahma was bewildered by these acts of Yogamaya, of repeated covering and revelations of various forms of the Lord. Brahma thought that is the perfect mystic, but Lord Krishna displayed a spark of the mysticism. Within movement of Brahma's time, he showed multiple forms. So like that. Then, by the way, he also showed his Madhurya. When Krishna was shown, Brahma saw what Vrindavan is all about for a moment. So, Madhurya is revealed to Aishwarya Bhakta. This is the function of Yogamaya.
Yeah, what is Madhurya?
आपको पूरा सुना ना इसलिए आपको पता नहीं. If you read that entire section, the entire Vrindavan is revealed to Brahma. Brahma understands what Vrindavan is all about. Till now he was thinking Vrindavan means a village. But then he understood the stones are Chintamani, the trees are Kalparuksha. Here all the animals and human beings are living in cooperation with each other. There is no natural enmity between animals and humans. So like that. All those things. Etra Naisargika Durvaira Sahasan No Mogadaya. You read the entire Krishna book पढ़े ना? हो गया ना आपका VTA? Fourth example, VTA में night reading book reading रहता है ना? Krishna book reading. Of course, it's okay. But Maharaj elaborately described this pastime in Kartika. But you did not come. In the previous yatras, he used to describe all the pastimes only. The recent yatras, he speaks so many other things also, philosophy and other things. But initial yatras are only katha. Just katha, unadulterated katha, unallied, unadulterated katha. Pure Krishna katha, Chaitanya katha.
Yogamaya is completely under the control of Krishna.
Everything under control of Krishna only. In order to show the inconceivable nature of his form, being both limited and unlimited by its very nature, and in order to show that he is brought under control by the efforts of pure service and by his mercy arising from seeing those efforts, Yogamaya assisted in the Damodar pastimes. What did Yogamaya do in the Damodar pastime?
He did not allow. He did not allow. And then
seeing Mother Yashoda's efforts, allowed. That's how Yogamaya functions. Yashoda wanted to bind Krishna. At the same time, Krishna did not want to be bound up, simultaneously covering his power. Yogamaya allowed Yashoda to tie a string of bells around his waist, but displaying his power did not allow her to tie a rope around his waist. At other time, the same Yogamaya allowed to tie the thread around the waist of Krishna. But today, Yogamaya is not allowing Yashodamaya to tie with the rope. The rope is so big. Previously, small thread only she tied with a bell. Small kids, even bell, so that others will understand that the kid is walking, the bell makes noise, something like that. But now, today, not allowing. The rope was always 2 fingers too short. Yashoda, bewildered by Yogamaya, which made it impossible for her to bind Krishna according to his wish, experienced great astonishment for a moment. This power was then covered by Yogamaya by Krishna's consent in order to fulfill Yashoda's desire. Then she bound up Krishna. The outstanding feature of Yogamaya in this case is the simultaneous covering of and displaying of the power of Krishna. So it's like that. In all these wonderful pastimes, Yogamaya is orchestrating the pastimes in such a way that the sweetness of the pastime will increase. It creates astonishment in the devotee. Inconceivable nature of the Supreme Lord is revealed. Next example. In order to fulfill invitations to each party, again Krishna book. If you have read thoroughly, you can connect to it. Krishna simultaneously manifested his form to Shrutadeva and Bahulashva. Where? And to Rukmini and Satyabhama in their houses. When he went to Mithila, he explained to two forms. He accepted the invitation of Shrutadeva, he went to kingdom, palace, and Bahulashva, he went to and in Dwaraka, there are 16,108 queens. Every night when he was going to palaces, he would go to all the palace. He was there in every palace. He expanded himself that many forms. So like that. By Yogamaya, he could perform his pastimes in each place by hiding the other form and revealing one form to each party. The other queen would never understand that Krishna is also there in the house of other queens. डे टाइम बात करते थे, नाइट टाइम क्या बात करेंगे?
तो डे टाइम जब बात करेंगे तो बोलेंगे कि मेरे पास कृष्ण है, नहीं?
वो सब क्यों बोलेंगे? तो बोलेगा तो जेलसी बढ़ेगा ना. If they say only Krishna was with me only, then jealousy बढ़ेगा ना.
फिर किसी के साथ तो थे.
They would never tell all those things. They would always think that Krishna is only with me, so I am so fortunate. If my fortune is revealed to others, others become jealous of me. Something not like that. See, they have many other things to discuss. These are small things. From our middle context, if somebody comes to us, we feel we are great. That's why he has come to me. But they are not like that. They would consider that Lord is so merciful upon me. Something. All of this is performed by Yogamaya, not the material Maya. Since the person who becomes bewildered by Yogamaya get to see at least Paramatma. Matlab, Yogamaya does not activate the ordinary people. It can only activate great devotees only, who at least get to see Paramatma in person. Others who can't even see Paramatma are not qualified to be under the shelter of Yogamaya. It's like that. Huh?
The person who became bewildered by Yogamaya get to see at least Paramatma. Paramatma को कौन सा
का हृदय का परमात्मा? बाहर नहीं खड़े रहते, अंदर रहते. मतलब they are that much pure. The understanding that they get to see the Paramatma in the heart of each and every living entity and their own heart. Only a devotee of that much purity can experience the display of Yogamaya power. Others cannot. Are you getting? The minimum qualification to get affected by Yogamaya is get to see Paramatma. Get to see Paramatma within their own heart. High level qualification. Of course, for me, high level, but for all of you. पार करके इधर आ गए, इस तरफ आ गए. Only those who have prema directly see Krishna or Rama according to Srimad Bhagavatam. Premanjana Vrita Bhakti Vilochanana. Only with the Premanjana Bhakti one can see the Lord. Otherwise, Hare Krishna. Yogamaya alone acts upon them as well, not material Maya. However, persons like Kamsa, who see Krishna by his desire, do not experience Paramatma because of the hatred and other faults in their hearts. Duryodhana is also seeing Kamsa. Sorry, Duryodhana also seeing Krishna, Kamsa is also seeing Krishna, but they are not seeing Krishna as the Supreme Lord because they never made an effort to see the Paramatma. So it's like that. This is like persons with jaundice who eat sugar candy but do not taste the sweetness of the sugar. They are affected by material Maya, not Yoga Maya. Kamsa and Jarasandha and Duryodhana, they are firmly affected by Yoga Maya. Even the Krishna, not Mahamaya, even the Krishna is there, they see Krishna as one of the human being only. Artham na pratiyeta. The meaningful object is not shown to people who are affected by avidya. Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead, but that understanding is not revealed to them, never. Na artham pratiyeta. What is na artham? Krishna is a human being. It is not correct. That is what is understood by them. So like that.
When we actually discuss the personalities like Kamsa, Jarasandha, so there are two ways to look at it. One is understanding them to be the people who are actually coming and playing the role in the form of a drama.
No drama. What drama? Drama Bhushan.
And how did they get the Sukriti to actually see the form of the Lord?
Huh?
How did they get?
Both log get even got, but they did not accept Lord as the Lord. They saw him as the ordinary person.
Even to actually see the form of the Lord.
That is because of their hatred. Their hatred toward the Supreme Lord. The hatred is so much. That cannot be rectified by anybody else. So Krishna personally comes and kills them, award them liberation. In order to award them liberation to such kind of powerful demons, Krishna only personally comes. Ravana, Kumbhakarna, Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu, Shishupal, Dantavakra cannot be killed by any ordinary person. So Lord personally comes and doesn't defeat. So it's like that.
You should not understand even the people who are inimical. Yeah, and playing the pastimes in Krishna Lila, Ram Lila. They are not like the Nitya associates, but
we don't know, na. Vijay ke baare mein pata hai, baki logon ko baare mein pata nahi. So why you want to unnecessarily see? For you to learn lesson now, you see that what is happening there. Don't go beyond that. The Uttama Bhaktas might see it as a beyond. They say, all this is Lila only, Lord's Lila only. Yeah, kuch friend enemy kuch hota nahi. Uttama Bhakta says. But are we?
The difference in the perception is because of
their consciousness. So we don't have to buy their understanding now. For us to get benefit, we need to see them as asuras only. Then only we get benefit. So that we understand we should not be like that. Then if you start speaking like Uttama Bhakta, kya problem hai? Oh, just they are playing drama only. Correct. Hare bolo jayega.
This I had it for the first time in Dhritarashtra from Maharashtra. So now we have actually connected with us.
They are affected by Maya, not Yoga Maya. The material Maya actually arises from Yoga Maya and is its vibhuti or expansion. Material Maya, the control of all beings in the material world, is the covering energy of the Yoga Maya. There are two verses, one from Brahma Samhita. Yaad hai kya? There is a description of Maya, one verse. What is that verse? Brahma Samhita. Brahma se bahar aa jao. पूरा ब्रह्म संहिता पढ़ने की जरूरत नहीं है, वो एक वर्ष चाएव यस्य बिभर्ति दुर्गा और इतना काफी है. चाएव यस्य, she is like the shadow potency. Whose shadow? Lord's shadow. Why Lord's shadow? Lord's internal energy is shadow. Lord's shadow means Lord's internal energy is Yoga Maya. Yoga Maya shadow is Mahamaya. It's like that we should see. And this Mahamaya covers the Yoga Maya. Covers the understanding that will be revealed by Yoga Maya. What is the Bhagavad Gita verse? Lord is covered by Yoga Mahamaya potency or Yoga Maya potency. Naham prakash sarvasya Yoga Maya samavruta. Modoyam nabijanati Mamebhyo Paramaveyam. Naham Prakash Sarvasya Yoga Maya Samavruta. From the Lord's point of view, Lord's Aishwarya is covered by Yoga Maya. When it comes to us, we are covered by Mahamaya. There are two coverings. So you will not understand the Lord. First there is Mahamaya covering, there is Yoga Maya covering, then how will you understand the Lord? And in between there is Brahma Jyoti covering. So it's like that. By her, the whole universe becomes bewildered and everyone thinks that they are their bodies. This is the Mahamaya covering. Because the Mahamaya covering is in the form of subtle body and gross body. As long as the subtle body, gross bodies are there, we have ourselves only mistaken identity. Then what to speak about the Supreme Lord? Who are you? What is your name? Okay. Not realization. As if he's a booth pret pictures jaise bol rahe. Material Maya has three forms. The material Maya covers all of us. Let us understand. This is what we have already discussed. The kind of summary now. Material Maya has three forms: Pradhana, Avidya, and Vidya. The various objects are created by Pradhana. Pradhana creates 24 material elements. By the combination of that, the universe comes, the planetary systems come, all our bodies also come, and all these objects also come from Pradhana only. They are real. The 24 elements are real. The imposition of identity with the bodies by the jivas is created by avidya. As long as we live in the material body, we identify ourselves, we think ourselves as the person in which we are living in, the person in the body in which we are living. We as of now we are in a human body, so we are thinking we are human beings. That mistaken identity is due to avidya. That is unreal. That has no permanent existence. After 60-70 years, what will be our identity? Not this identity, something else. That's why this identity is not real. By vidya, that identity with the body is destroyed. These are the effects of the three Shaktis. The world is made up of these three. Part is true and part is untrue. Those things related to the Lord and devotion are eternal. The bodies are products of pradhana and their nature is avidya. If the jiva's bodies are related to bhakti, then they transcend the gunas. There is only one non-dual substance called Brahman, and that there is no variety of objects at all in this world. This is the conclusion of the devotees, which is described in the 4 essential verses and cultivated by the devotees and not by others. This is the essence of Catus-sloki-bhagavatam. There is only one non-dual substance called Brahman in reality, and that there is no variety of objects at all in this world. Whatever variety is in this world is all manifested from Prakriti. Prakriti manifested from Mahavishnu. Mahatattva comes from Prakriti only. So Prakriti comes from Mahavishnu. So Mahavishnu, in reality, Mahavishnu alone exists. Okay? Though he is transformed, his energies are transforming into the visible universe, but their existence is not permanent. They come for some time, they stay for some time, they again withdraw. Everything is withdrawn. So in reality, Lord only exists eternally. The permanent real object is Lord alone. Remaining all temporary real or temporary illusory. Not the permanent real. The only one permanent real is Brahman. Brahman means absolute truth. Brahman, Paramatman, Bhagavan. All the three are same. When you say Brahman, it is all the three. This is the conclusion of the devotees, which is described in the 4 essential verses and cultivated by the devotees and non-devotees, not others.
Substance को बोलते हैं
क्या बोलने का?
Non-dual substance.
That is our mental understanding. We don't have proper words to translate properly. That's why.
तो ब्रह्मन में न्यूट्रलिटी रहता है प्रभु.
Ekam eva advayam brahma na hiya na astiti kinchana. Ekam eva advayam Brahma. Advaya Brahma. How do you translate Advaya Brahma? Non-dual. What? What is that non-dual? Person, object. Then how do you say non-dual person? It is not only person. It indicates abode also. Brahman indicates abode also. Brahman indicates person also. Brahman indicates energy also. It has multiple meanings. That's why non-dual substance is mentioned. Substance can be person, substance can be object, substance can be energy. So in that way, it can be used in multiple ways. So yadgatvana nivartante taddama paramam mama. Natad vashete shuryo nashishanko napavaka. Taddama. What do you mean by dama? In that verse. Taddama paramam mama. Huh? Golok. कहाँ से आ गया golok? Huh? Yeah. Sanskrit में dama means it is abode. That means Vaikuntha. It is also light. That means Brahmajyoti. It is also person. That means Mahavishnu. Or Brahman.
Brahman could be abode.
Huh?
Because
Brahman is person only. Mahavishnu himself.
Planets are lying in Brahman.
Huh?
All spiritual planets are lying on Brahman.
नहीं. मैं क्या बोला? Brahman. What is Brahman?
Light.
मैं क्या बोला?
Absolutely.
आज नहीं. In the previous classes. What is Brahman? कितना बार बोला होगा? 10 बार, 15 बार, 20 बार, 100 बार. What is the definition of Brahman I gave? From the first chapter we are discussing that. Especially the second chapter.
Absolutely.
What is Brahman? Who is Brahman?
Non-dual substance.
Who is Brahman?
The light emanating from the effulgence of the body.
इसलिए मैं बोल रहा हूँ, आप लोगों ने पढ़ रहे, पढ़ेगा तो ये सब भूल नहीं जाएंगे. Chapter 1, chapter 2 very clearly says. Chapter 1, chapter 2 of second canto, which we discussed also. It is Mahavishnu whom devotees see as Bhagavan, yogis see as Paramatma, jnani see him as Brahman. Brahman is not some light here and there. Brahman is actually Mahavishnu only. Anoraniyam Mahato Mahiyam. Mahavishnu as Anoraniyam is Paramatma. Mahavishnu as Mahato Mahiyam is Brahman. Mahavishnu in between is Bhagavan. Bhagavad Gita chapter 8, there is one verse. Kavim Purana Manusha Sharam. एक है, याद है क्या? Correction. No, I also don't remember completely, but in that verse it says that the smallest of the smallest is he, that is Paramatma. The biggest of the biggest is he, that is Brahman. And in between, in a way that we can perceive, that is Bhagavan. That is an Anoraniyam. Sarvasya Datara means the maintainer of everyone, but Anoraniyam is the smallest of the smallest, that is Paramatma. And Anusmariyam, but Paramatma you cannot remember. And Brahman also is so big we can't remember. Whom we can remember? A person like us, of medium size. That is Bhagavan. Bhagavan ko hum smaran mein rakh sakte. So it is like that. In a smallest of the smallest form is Paramatma, biggest of the biggest form is Brahman, the medium form is Bhagavan. अभी रेन सीजन चल रहा है ना? रेन सीजन के पहले क्या रहता है? In summer there are so many clouds in the sky, but all the clouds are small in size. You can clearly see them having some form, color, and shape, etc., etc. That is like a Bhagavan feature. When the same clouds in the rainy season, the entire sky is filled with one cloud only. Everywhere one black cloud. What is the size of that cloud? What is the form of that cloud? Unlimited. That is Brahman. One cloud only, but it's spread everywhere. That is Brahman. One cloud only in the limited place, Bhagavan. And when the same cloud disintegrates into small particles, That is Paramatma. Simple. अभी तक बहुत बार सुना होगा, Brahman means effulgence coming out of the natural body of the Lord, as coming out of the Vaikuntha here and there. But Brahman is nothing but the manifestation of Mahavishnu, which is so big. This you will understand clearly. The last but one verse of the 11th chapter of the third canto. When you come there, you will understand.
But Brahman has the rays of who exists करता है, so that is perceived as Brahman is Mahavishnu.
Okay. What is the nature of Atma? Atma is Chitkana. Chitkana is also called as Swayam Jyoti. It is a self-effulgent Chitkana, small particle of consciousness. What is the state of Brahman? It is the ocean of consciousness, ocean of light. The small light, the comparison which scriptures always give is like the sun. Paramatma is like the sun. Jivatma is like the sun ray, a single individual sun ray. Both are light only. But this is a limited light, there is unlimited light. It's like that. That's why it is said like that. Since Paramatma is unlimited light, so Brahman is the light. So like that. Able to follow? For a technical line, but you need to contemplate.
So Mahavishnu, Brahman is actually Mahavishnu is the Brahman. So well, it's about the perception of the वो perceive करते इसलिए वैसा है.
Mahavishnu is so big, so big, so big. It is like that. I will read something. 3rd canto 11th chapter last verse I told na. I'll read it for you. Then you tell me what do you understand. Okay. Situated within the pore holes of Mahavishnu. Skin holes are there na. Situated or emanated, manifested. Eshvaisa Nisvita Kala Matavalamba Jivanti Loma Vilaja Jagadannanata. If you remember that verse and translation, it makes sense. Situated within the pore holes of Mahavishnu, the universe in which we are living, composed of 16 transformations and 8 elements. 8 elements are 8 water, fire, ether, mind, intelligence, ahankara, mahatattva and pradhana. And 16 transformations are 5 jnanendriyas, 5 karmendriyas, mind, and 5 tanmatras. Okay? 16 हो गया and 8 हो गया. Composed of 16 transformations and 8 elements measuring 500 million yojanas, covered by 7 layers made up of earth, water, fire, ether, ahankara and mahatattva. Okay? Which are 10 times thicker than the previous layer, appear like a paramanu in comparison to Mahavishnu. One universe whose internal diameter is 500 million yojanas, 1 yojana is equal to 13 kilometers, covered by 7 layers made up of earth, water, fire, ether, ahankara, mahatattva. Each layer is 10 times thicker than the previous layer. Entire thing put together appears to be like a paramanu in comparison to like that. There are millions of other universes also situated within the Lord's pores, appear small as well. Now tell me, what is the size of Mahavishnu? बताइए बाबू.
अगर मैं महाविष्णु
बंगाली बाबू,
अगर मैं ऐसा महाविष्णु कहे तो सैंड पार्टिकल उतना.
सैंड पार्टिकल भी नहीं बाबा.
बहुत ही छोटा. मतलब
in terms of kilometers, one universe's diameter is 10 to the power of 18 kilometers. 10 to the power of 18 kilometers. Then that much is like a paramanu in comparison to Mahavishnu. Then what will be the size of? What is the size of one paramanu in Armstrong units? कुछ याद है क्या chemistry, physics, intermediate में? हाँ वही है. हाँ 10 to the power of -8 Armstrong units. That is called
10⁻⁸ Armstrong.
So -8 centimeters. That is 1 Armstrong unit. That is called 1 Armstrong. So that is the size of atom. So then you compare. Then what will be the size of Mahavishnu? Because Mahavishnu is so big, that's why it's called as Brahman. Brahman means Mahato Mahyam, bigger than the biggest. It's like that.
So is it like a gross perception of the Gnani is Mahavishnu?
I don't know. Bhagavatam is saying like that.
Or is it the internal revelation of the absolute truth?
That shows the greatness of the Supreme Lord. But that Lord who is unlimited also can be visible to a perceivable size for a devotee. Since devotees cannot perceive so big, so for devotees it appears like a same size human. That's why I quoted the shloka. The shloka mein aate hai. But for others who want something grand, is a grand person. The universal form also very grand. When Arjuna saw, I think the universe is very big, going all the way up to top to bottom to the top of the universe. Some people will be appreciative of that kind of grandness only. They cannot appreciate equal display. For them, that kind of display is there. The Jnanis and Yogis cannot appreciate this kind of description only. For them, it is like that. But the same Mahavishnu is so big, can be visible of human size only for a devotee. That is Achintya, Shakti of the Supreme Lord. Achintya kaluye bhava natam starkena yojayat. Prakrutibhya param yascha tadanchitnansya lakshanam. The quality of Achintya is, it is supposed to be beyond purview of the three modes of material nature. Our whatever we know is everything within the three modes of material nature. That's why we can't conceive, we can't mention. How can be that much big size? How can he exist? Such kind of doubt comes for us. So it is like that. This is basically describes the Lord's two energies. How they deal with the people, deal with these things in this world, how they perform their respective services. Mahamaya in relation to living in this material world, Yogamaya in relation to the liberated devotees. So it's like that. Having described Maya and Mahamaya and Yogamaya by taking two meanings to the previous verse, the Lord now describes how he performs pastimes in the material and spiritual worlds, which are subjected to Mahamaya and Yogamaya respectively. This answers Brahma's question in verse 28. This is the third question is answered in the 35th verse. Yata mahanti bhutani bhuteshu shavasheshanu pravishtani apravishtani tata teshu nateshu ham.
Just as the elements enter into all beings and also remain separate, I enter into all beings and remain separate when I perform my pastimes. In pastimes related to the material world, I remain detached. And in pastimes related to devotees, I am attached.
Just as the 24 elements enter into all beings, also remain separate. The earth, water, fire, ether is there in my body, in your body, in his body, and also outside. This is also earth, water, fire, ether. Everything is there in this building also. In the entire earth globe, in the entire Bhumandala, in the entire 14 planet system. They are there. Yes. They are there outside of us, within our bodies also. Enter into all beings and remain separate. So, I also enter into all beings and remain separate when I perform my pastimes. In pastime related to material world, I remain detached. And in pastime related to devotees, I am attached. Just like the 24 elements are there within our body, the Supreme Lord also there within our body as Paramatma. And he himself there as Mahavishnu outside the universe. And Narayana and Vaikuntha. As Paramatma is there within our heart, and what is he doing? Why Yoga Nidra? But in the spiritual, what does he do? What does he do? What pastimes? That's all. This is detached from past. Lord comes into mental world as Garbhodaksha Vishnu, Yoga Nidra. Shirodaksha Vishnu, Yoga Nidra. Paramatma, Yoga Nidra. But in the spiritual world, he is fully active, performing various pastimes. When the Lord of the spiritual world, when he comes to the mental world in the form of avataras, that much period he performs pastimes in relation to his pure devotees. For others, he is indifferent. And he disappears. He goes back and continues pastime in the spiritual world. He does not make a permanent shelter here, permanent home here. But we want to make a permanent home here. So like that. That is the difference.
Said I am attached. So it can also refer to the devotees who are actually there in the material world. With them also the Lord can be attached.
Obviously. When Lord comes, we discussed also this one. He comes along with his family members only.
Even after the Aparkat Leela. After the disappearance of from this world.
Yes, yes.
Then also we can say that.
Just as the elements such as ether enter into living beings such as devatas, men and animals, since they are acquired by the jivas, and at the same time they do not enter into them, since they maintain a separate existence. I also enter into the elements and the living beings and also do not enter them, remain separately in my abode, which is in Shuddha Sattva. The
Connection to the same point that I am attached.
Wait, don't ask question. Let us discuss what is the meaning of attachment and attachment. Explanation is there, na? Then we will take questions. The entrance of the elements into the living beings is without attachments, since the elements are not conscious. Does the earth element say that I only want to enter into Ankit Prabhu's body, I don't want to enter into Rupana Prabhu's body? Does the earth element say? It has no favoritism. Okay. I'll go here also, there also, like that. Indifferent to that person. The earth element resides in the body of every living entity without any attachment. The earth element does not say that, okay, Ankit Prabhu is taking care of me very nicely. Rupan Prabhu is torturing me. I don't want to stay with him. I want to go away from that. Like the ever says?
He's agency of karma. He's taking medicine, so he's taking care of it.
Does the earth element ever say like that? Like the ether, though I am conscious, like a man who lives in his house without attachment, I remain without attachment while entering, regulating, and protecting all beings. Just like all of us currently are living in this room. Similarly, Paramatma stays in the core of the heart, which is like a house. We come to this room, sit for the class, and go away. We don't stay here eternally. Same way, Paramatma comes to the heart of the jiva, stays there for some time, and goes back without any attachment. I remain without attachment while entering into the material world, while regulating as Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, while maintaining the universe and protecting all beings. My pastimes are without attachment to relation to the elements and the living beings within the material world. Namang karman limpanti name karma phala supraha. Idiyo mam yobijanati karma vir nasapaddhite. हमने डिस्कस किया कुछ दिन पहले.
जो भगवान को ऐसा जानता है वो भी नहीं होगा.
जानने से नहीं, जानने के बाद ऐसा पालन करने से. सिर्फ जानने से कुछ फायदा नहीं.
भगवान जानने से कुछ.
See, knowing something means it is expected that we should do it. Just knowing of not much use. Knowing something we don't do, what is the use of knowing that? You come to know that today evening at 6 p.m. there is a feast. Just by hearing that there is a feast, there is any use? You go there, you take part in the feast, then there is some use. Huh? Something like that. Huh? I don't know. I just gave example. Don't get attracted by all those things. But I desire to show myself to my obedient devotees who have entered my heart, who have perfected themselves and bow to me. But for devotees, Lord reveals his Bhagavan feature. For others, he remains as indifferent Paramatma.
For struggling spiritual aspirant, the Lord in their heart would be staying as a Paramatma and directing him.
वो तो है ना. परमात्मा तो सबके लिए परमात्मा है.
But will he take a neutral stand or will he be actively
If devotee sincerely wants some help from Paramatma, Paramatma will help. If devotee does not want any help from Paramatma, why Paramatma will help? Pushing तो help करेंगे ना, पूछने के बिना क्यों help करेंगे?
So when he actually goes to the deities and when he actually prays,
then भगवान सामने खड़े हैं ना, परमात्मा के को भगवान help करेंगे.
So then Bhagwan would actually tell the Paramatma to help. How is the dynamics?
It's okay ना, whoever helps doesn't matter. आपको help चाहिए ना, कौन help कर रहा है? Paramatma directly help or Bhagwan directly help, or Paramatma Bhagwan means third person to help.
Mechanism, technicality.
Attention, see, analysis leads to paralysis only. Just do the needful. Don't analyze too much. Too much analysis leads to paralysis.
Scientific mind approach.
हाँ, वही problem है ना, इसलिए problem है. Remaining separate, not entering their hearts, I desire to offer my beauty to their eyes. Though I stay in the heart of the devotees as Paramatma, but in order to bless the devotees, I appear in front of them in my personal form. Just like Lord appeared in front of Dhruva Maharaj in order to bless him. So like that. I desire that my fragrance enters their nostrils, and I desire to fulfill their ears with the nectar of my sweet voice, speaking with them and answering them.
Is Bhagwan saying or Paramatma saying?
Bhagavan only. And the same Paramatma who is there in the heart comes out and appears in the personal form. He becomes Bhagavan. I desire to make their limbs experience the sweet softness of my body by touching and embracing them. Thus, situated inside my devotees and externally as well, inside my devotees as Paramatma and externally as Bhagavan, I perform pastimes with great attachment for my pure devotees. Not all devotees, with my pure devotees who are beyond the gunas, not who are in the gunas, whom I cannot give up. Otherwise, person in the mode of good, in the three modes, already given up Bhagavan and Paramatma also. They are indifferent to Bhagavan, Paramatma. Lord also will be indifferent to them. Pure devotees, beyond the modes, and who have a lot of affection for the Supreme Lord, Lord will manifest in person and perform pastimes with him. So it's like that. Just like elements enter into the body of each and every low and high bodies, the body of Indra and body of normal, ordinary human being and ant also, grass and plants, Lord also enters into the hearts of each and every living entity, enters into the universe as Paramatma, but remains indifferent. Samoham sarvabhuteshu name sinapriya. Ye bhajanti tu mam bhaktya maite teshu chapyam. First two lines talks about Paramatma, second line talks about Bhagavan. For others, for as Paramatma, Samoham sarvabhutam, equal to everyone. I am there in the heart of every living entity. I don't envy anybody, I don't love anyone. But when he becomes Bhagavan, for devotees, maite teshu chapyam, I am there in their heart and they are in my heart. It's like that. There is active reciprocation. This is about prayojan. The first two verses talks about sambandha. Third verse talks about prayojan. What is the prayojan? The result of understanding Mahamaya Yogamaya is that as long as we are under the control of Mahamaya, the Paramatma will be indifferent to us. As soon as we come under the shelter of Yogamaya, we get to see the Bhagavan, we get to experience Bhagavan, we get to perform pastimes with Bhagavan, we get to be part of the pastimes of Bhagavan. That is what will happen after coming to Prema Bhakti platform. One will go to the spiritual and get to see the Lord in person. Even though if one is here, the Lord will come all the way here and interact with the devotee in various pastimes. That is ultimate prayojan. But how to get to that point? With the proper sambandha jnana, one need to engage in Abhideya. So there are so many abhideyas. Abhideya such as karma, abhideya such as jnana, abhideya such as yoga, abhideya such as bhakti. Among these four abhideyas, which abhideya is suitable for me? Having come to the point of taking shelter of Bhagavatam, that will be revealed in the fourth verse. In verse 29, Prayojana is in 35 verse, previous verse only. Here Abhideya will be revealed. Abhideya is basically what kind of sadhana I should perform. What is the Prayojana? Prayojana is that only. Lord will reveal himself to us, Lord will reciprocate with us, Lord will perform pastimes with us. That is Prayojana. In verse 29, Brahma requesting instructions with Bhagavad Shakshitam Aham Karavanihi Atandrita. The Lord now speaks on the sadhana for attaining the Lord. Only by practice of bhakti can you overcome lethargy and pride. That Lord will reveal. Not by the practice of karma or jnana or yoga, but by practice of bhakti. You can overcome lethargy and pride, and you are not subjugated by false ego, and you can come back to Godhead. Etavadeva jignasyam tattva jignasu natmana anvaya vyatirikabhyam yassa sarvatra sarvada.
The person desiring to know the best sadhana and the goal of that sadhana must learn by surrender to Guru about this truth, which is determined as the best by obtaining positive results through performance, and by lack of results through non-performance, and by performance at all times and all places.
A sadhana should fulfill four criteria. What are the four criteria? Anvaya, Vyatireka, Sarvatra, and Sarvada. Whichever fulfills these four criteria, that is the best sadhana for one to practice, so that they can overcome lethargy and pride, and they can attain the Lord in the spiritual world. That is the subject matter of this verse. The person desiring to know the best sadhana and the best goal of that sadhana must learn by surrendering to a guru, taking shelter of a guru. Tadvidnadatam sagurum evabi gajjat samitpani shrotriyam brahmanishtam. About this truth, which is determined at the best by obtaining positive results through performance. Anvaya means obtaining positive results through performance, and lack of results through non-performance. By not performing it, there should be no results. By performing, there should be positive results. Okay? And by performance at all times and at all places. And that should be able to be practiced at all times and at all places. That sadhana should fulfill all these four criteria. That is the best sadhana to practice, and that can award best results.
So sadhana, this sadhana, if performed, will only have positive results and no negative results. ऐसे बोल सकते हैं कि क्या होता है कि परफॉर्म किया तो पॉजिटिव रिजल्ट्स मिलेंगे, नहीं किया तो मिलेगा ही नहीं. इसका कोई नेगेटिव रिजल्ट्स है नहीं. हाँ, yes. By not doing, there are no negative results. By doing, there are positive results. But in some cases, by not doing, there is sin. If one is a husband, if one is not performing the duties of the husband, there is a sin. Not taking care of the wife and children, that is a big sin. So like that. What are the four characteristics? One is Anvaya, second is Vyatireka. टाइप कर रहे थे, हम डिस्कस करेंगे बाद में, चर्चा करेंगे. पूरा पर्पट इज ऑल अबाउट दैट ओनली. The person desiring the highest truth must experience rasa, which produces bliss through the meeting and separation, sambhoga and vipralabdha, and continues in all places eternally. The same verse can be seen in terms of tasting rasa with respect to the pure devotees who are in the Yogamaya potency. For those who are in the Mahamaya potency, they need to understand what sadhana they should practice, by which one can go back to Godhead very easily. So that is these are two meanings for this verse. Only by the practice of bhakti can you overcome lethargy and pride. So
Now, the meaning of this verse is explained step by step. Each word is explained. It says that because it is very confidential, it is not understood by materialistic persons. One should not be dependent on the extensive study of scriptures. Persons desiring to know the best sadhana for the self should learn from the feet of the Guru. One may say that no, I will study the Vedas. I am a Chaturvedi family background. I can read the 4 Vedas quickly and easily, and then I can understand what the essence of the Vedas. No, Baba. Vedeshu Brahma Samhita Shloka. Vedeshu Durlabham Adurlabham Atma Bhakto. The knowledge of the Supreme Lord is very difficult to be understood by the readers of the Vedas. But by taking shelter of a pure devotee, one can easily understand. This means you will understand by my mercy alone. What is this? Among the sadhanas of karma, jnana, yoga, and bhakti, bhakti should be fixed at the process through positive results by performance and lack of results by non-performance. Bhakti should be selected as the best sadhana because bhakti will award positive results by the performance of bhakti, and there will be no results by not performing bhakti in spite of being doing all the other sadhanas. Without bhakti, the other sadhanas does not give results. And without performing any other sadhana, by performing bhakti alone, one can get the highest results. That is the glory of bhakti. That will be explained in the purport. Karma, jnana, and yoga by themselves cannot give even swarga or liberation. And even without these practices, one can attain those goals. Therefore, these are not the sadhana.
Sadhana is only meant for spiritual purpose. That means, let's say, interpretation is
not like that. Karma gives swarga. Jnana gives liberation. But karma alone does not give swarga. Only Bhakti Mishra karma gives swarga. Only a Bhakti Mishra jnana or Bhakti Mishra yoga gives moksha. Jnana or yoga alone does not give moksha.
So the charity which people perform, even for temple donation, for example, temple में पैसा दिया, भक्ति के साथ नहीं दिया, for example, वो as a ritualistic performance दिया, देने का हम करते हैं. They will not attend to the parents. That is not punya.
That is punya, but they will not go to heaven. They will take another birth in a rich family.
So bhakti, अगर भक्ति के साथ किया रहता तो हाँ, would that be counted as ajnana sukriti or would that be counted as
just punya only? It is not ajnana sukriti. It is just punya only.
Because it is directed to Krishna. But as it is directed to Krishna, wouldn't it be adding to the ajnana sukriti? Because this temple is actually made by Srila Prabhupada. And the intervention of the pure devotee is coming. Because they are assisting the movement of the pure devotee. Wouldn't they actually getting the benefit of a ajnana sukriti?
Their motive also counts. For with what motive they are doing it. They are doing it in the intention to be known as a great charitable person, or they are doing it genuinely. Okay, these people are doing something nice. Let me help. Let me assist them. That becomes ajnana sukriti. If they are doing it, okay. I have given to Siddhivinayakji also. I am giving to ISKCON also. It's a good charitable activity. My name will come tomorrow in the newspaper. That is like a punya. So the intention also changes the result.
With a neutral mind, when they actually give with a kind of affection, then it actually adds to the ajnana sukriti.
With a neutrality or with positive sentiments, ajnana sukriti. And with neutrality and without any positive sentiments, it remains punya. Now, there are so many verses are quoted indicating how does this statement works. Karma, jnana, yoga by themselves cannot even give even swarga or liberation. And even without these practices, one can attain those goals. Therefore, these are not the sadhanas. These are not the best sadhana that should be selected. Taktva swadharmam charanambujam harer bhajan apakota pate tato yadi. Yatra kvadram abut amushyakim kovarta apto bhajatam swadharmataha. If someone gives up his occupational duties and works in Krishna consciousness and then falls down on account of not completing his work, what loss is there on his part? And what can one gain if one performs his material activities perfectly? Bhakti fulfills Anvaya and Vyatireka criteria, but Varnashrama fails Vyatireka criteria. By simply practicing one's Varnashrama duty throughout the life, does one simply go to Sarga?
Varnashrama perform करके स्वर्ग में जाएंगे क्या?
वो क्वेश्चन है क्या आपका? If by performing Varnashrama duties as an offering to Supreme Lord, one will go to Swarga. That is the result of performing Nishkama Karma Yoga.
मुझे स्वर्ग?
और क्या? किधर लेके जाने का? Karma means Swarga only. Karma does not award liberation. Karma only Swarga. The Sakama Karmis willingly perform so many rituals to go to Swarga by force, by dedication and all. But if they don't offer the results to Lord, if there is no element of bhakti in that Sakama Karma, they will not go to Swarga. They will get birth here only. But when the Sakama Karma becomes Nishkama Karma and offers results to Supreme Lord, the result will be given to them is entry into Swarga. Okay? But if they don't want to go to Swarga, then they will be qualified to enter into Jnana. They can practice Jnana by entering into Vanaprastha or Sannyas order. Then they practice Jnana and Ashtanga Yoga. Then eventually they become qualified to attain Moksha.
If a person has to leave his body after performing Nishkama Karma, and his future destination is Swarga. You will take you will go to Swarga, again come back. You will take birth in the Brahmana family. From the very beginning, you practice nice lifestyle. Then you become Grihastha, practice Nishkama Karma. Then you become Vanaprastha or Sannyasi, and then practice Jnana. You will get that qualification. And when here we are saying the Varnashrama Dharma, so Varnashrama Dharma is all centered around Vishnu. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Varnashrama Dharma is a set of duties. One can perform all the duties without Vishnu in the picture also. The husband can take care of the wife very religiously without Vishnu in the center. He can have all other devatas in the center also. They may be very staunch followers of Lord Shiva, staunch followers of Ganapati, staunch followers of Durga Devi, staunch followers of any other devatas. Still, they are doing all their Varnashrama duties. Pakka. So that can be done. Actually, it means there are variations in the Varnashrama understanding. When Ramananda was speaking, that perfection of human life is attained by following the Varnashrama Dharma. So then which Varnashrama Dharma is actually spoken by Ramananda? एक ही Varnashrama Dharma है. Which so if Vishnu is not into the picture and following the Varnashrama Dharma, then how can they actually perfect the human form of life? What do you mean by perfection of human form of life? That cannot be obtained by Varnashrama Dharma. That's why, see, there is something called Bhakti Mishra Karma, something called Karma Mishra Bhakti. The devotees are also performing Varnashrama duties as a secondary importance. But the Nishkama Karma Yogis perform Varnashrama duties as their life and soul. They are very much attached to it, but offer the results to Supreme Lord. They are Nishkama Karma Yogis. So as a result of that, they will be awarded Swarga. But they don't take Swarga. Then they will be qualified to enter into renunciation order. Then they practice Jnana or Yoga eventually. So when Ramananda was speaking about see, Prabhuji, Ramananda Rai, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, both are in a highly elevated platform. Uttama Bhakta, they are. Ramananda Rai is saying about Karma Mishra Bhakti. Here it is Bhakti Mishra Karma. It is Bhakti Mishra Karma. So that's why I said, just now we discussed, don't take the discussions of Uttama Bhaktas into our discussion. We will not gain anything. उनको बात समझना है तो हम भी वो लेवल पे पहुंचना चाहिए. Are you getting? उधर महाप्रभु सबको उड़ा देते,
Yeho bahya aage kaho aaya. For us, even we are not able to practice varnashram also properly, and we are saying yeho bahya. That is as good as a small street kid acting like a prime minister of the entire country. पहले स्कूल जाओ, थोड़ा एजुकेट समझो, स्कूल जाके प्राइम मिनिस्टर मतलब क्या है समझो. Don't act as if you are prime minister of the entire country. So it is like that. So we discussing the conversation between Ramananda Rai and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is like that. Street boy behaving like the prime minister of the entire country. वो तो बहुत ऊंचा की बात है. So it's like that. In general, the householders, when they perform their duty, that is called karma. If they are doing selfish motive, that is called sakama karma. If they are doing it selflessly, that is called nishkama karma. When they offer results to Supreme Lord, that is called nishkama karma yoga. That is bhakti mishra karma. When you say nishkama karma yoga, yoga means there is some bhakti. That is technically called bhakti mishra karma. Then the result will be swarga. If they only perform nishkama karma without Lord in the picture, only society in the picture, they are doing all the welfare activities of the society, they will get a birth in an aristocratic family, in a rich family, the next life. They will be born in the midst of all opulences without any problems, any troubles. That is the result of their piety. But when somebody does nishkama karma yoga, they will be promoted to swarga. But if there is no bhakti element, just by practicing nishkama karma alone, they will never go to heaven. So that is understanding.
So nishkama karma yoga, its intrinsic definition is
bhakti mishra karma. Yoga means bhakti. If you remove yoga, what remains in nishkama karma? That is selfless service for the welfare of society.
That means taking birth in this world.
One will take birth again here only in the wealthy family, affluent wealthy family. It's like Varnashrama fails Vitreka. That means just by performing Varnashram duties does not give entry to Swarga. Yes, without bhakti in it, the result will not come. Only when there is some bhakti in it, the result will come. So Vitreka means without performing, there is no result. By performing Varnashrama duties without bhakti, there are no result of going to Swarga. But just by practicing bhakti, one can easily go to Swarga. Can one go to Swarga or not? By the practice of bhakti. Shreya bhaktim udastate vibho klishyantiye kevala bodha labdaye tesha masau kleshala eva shishyate nanyad yata stula tushava gatinam. The previous verse was about karma and this verse is about jnana. Jnana is meant to offer one moksha. Does jnana alone offer moksha or bhakti mishra jnana offer moksha? That is indicated here. Read the translation loudly.
My dear Lord, devotional service unto you is the best path for self-realization. If someone gives up that path and engages in the cultivation of speculative knowledge, he will simply undergo a troublesome process and will not achieve his desired result. As a person who beats an empty husk of wheat cannot get grain, one who simply speculates cannot achieve self-realization. His only gain is struggle.
Simply practicing jnana is like beating the empty husk. A rice paddy is there. You already taken separated rice grains. Then if you beat them, if somebody is seen that okay, if you want to take out the grains, you cut the rice paddy and beat them so that you will get the grains. But that rice paddy which has no grains, you cut it and beat it. Will you get any rice grains? Just by beating, you don't get rice grains. You should make sure that there are rice grains in the plant. Then only you will get it. So performing jnana alone is like the beating the rice paddy. And performing jnana along with bhakti means beating the rice paddy with the grains. Then you will get the grains. That is moksha. So it's like that. Bhakti fulfills Anvaya criteria and Vitireka criteria, but Jnana fails Vitireka criteria. Okay. By practicing Jnana alone, there will be no result. Without Bhakti, Jnana alone does not give the result of attaining moksha. Next example. Pureha bhuman bahavopi yogina tvadarpiteha nija karma labdaya vibudya bhaktyeka katopaniyata prade pirenja sochuta tega timparam.
O Almighty Lord, in the past, many yogis in this world achieved the platform of devotional service by offering all their endeavors unto you and faithfully carrying out their prescribed duties. Through such devotional service, perfected by the process of hearing and chanting about you, they came to understand you, O infallible one, and could easily surrender to you and achieve your supreme will.
Just by practicing bhakti alone, many great devotees attained you in the past. By the practice of bhakti, one attained Lord. Anvaya is fulfilled. By practicing karma alone, one does not attain Swarga. Vitireka failed. By practicing jnana alone, one does not attain liberation. By practicing bhakti alone, one can attain abode of the Lord. So Anvaya fulfilled. The next verse talks about by practicing bhakti, one can go to Swarga, one can go to Sayujya, one can go to Vaikuntha also, wherever one want to go. Bhakti can fulfill all the desires of all other processes. Yat karma yat tapasa jnana vairagya yaschayat yogena dana dharmena shreyo bhiritarapi sarvam madbhakti yogena madbhakto lapate anjasa swargapavargam maddama katanchit divanchati.
Everything that can be achieved by fruitive activities, penance, knowledge, detachment, mystic yoga, charity, religious duties, and all other means of perfecting life is easily achieved by my devotee through loving service unto me. If somehow or other my devotee desires promotion to heaven, liberation, or residence in the abode, easily achieves such benedictions.
Bhakti can avoid anything and everything. Akama sarvakamo mokshakamo udade tivrena bhakti yogena yajata purusham vara. If you have desire to go to Swarga, or desire to go to moksha, or desire to go to spiritual world, perform bhakti. Bhakti can give everything. But without performing bhakti, by performing Swarga alone, karma alone, one cannot go to Swarga. By performing jnana or yoga alone, one cannot go to Sayujya Mukti, Brahman. That's how they are stated. Bhakti fulfills Anvaya criteria, whereas karma, jnana, vairagya, yoga, dana, dharma, etc. fail Vitireka criteria. So somebody says that.
How do we actually say this fails?
That's what I'm saying. Karma is meant to give Swarga. That is the general understanding. Jnana is meant to give Apavarga, liberation. So only karma gives Swarga. Only jnana gives liberation. Then the opposite statement is without karma, without performing karma, no one can go to Swarga. Without performing jnana, no one can attain liberation. That is a statement. But here this Bhagavatam sloka saying that just by bhakti you can go to Swarga also, you can go to Apavarga also, you can go to Vaikuntha also. What do you mean by that? Without any karma, just by practicing bhakti also one can go to Swarga. Vitireka means by not performing the result should not come. The Vedic statement is karma gives. Swarga. Without karma, one cannot go to Swarga. But by bhakti, without karma, also one can go to Swarga. So karma fails Vyatireka. Karma fails Vyatireka. The general statement of Vedic literature's karma is without karma one cannot go to Swarga. Only by karma one can go to Swarga. No, sir. By bhakti, without any karma, also one can go to Swarga. So karma fails Vyatireka. Vyatireka means by not following, the result should not come. By not following karma, the result is still coming. So like that. All these things, all of you should sit and analyze how Anvaya followed here, how Vyatireka is followed here. That will be for your homework. You sharpen your intelligence.
In the previous subjects, like karma, we have only understood how bhakti fulfills Anvaya criteria. But we did not express anything with respect to the other thing. That's the only intention of the previous ones.
या वै साधन संपत्ति पुरुषार्था च तुष्टये तया विना तदाप्नोति नरो नारायणाश्रया.
The wealth of sadhana brings about before human goals. Without that, however, a man who surrenders to the Lord attains all of that.
A wealth of sadhana brings about the 4 human goals. By the performance of karma, dharma, artha, kama are accomplished. By the performance of jnana and yoga, the moksha is accomplished. But by the performance of bhakti, dharma, artha, kama, moksha and prema also accomplished. So in that way, bhakti fulfills Anvaya criteria and all other sadhanas fail Vyatireka criteria. Without that, however, a man who surrenders to the Lord attains all of that.
So now, as directly the bhakti is not actually mentioned in this verse. So the statement which we are saying bhakti fulfills Anvaya criteria has to be seen in conjunction with the previous verse.
In this verse only. Bhakti fulfills Anvaya criteria means just by performance of karma, that dharma, artha, kama accomplished. Karma alone.
With karma alone, dharma, artha and kama is accomplished.
No. Without the element of karma, without the element of bhakti, dharma, artha, kama are not accomplished. You remember his question? Varnashrama is meant to worship Lord Vishnu, na? Without worshipping Lord Vishnu, also Varnashrama can be performed. But that performance of Varnashrama is Shramayavai Kevalam.
What is the context in which Shramayavai Kevalam? That is because moksha is not written.
No, not forget about the moksha. The purpose of doing the Varnashrama is not accomplished.
Actually, the performance of Varnashrama dharma is actually to go to the Lord's abode. Ideally, the performance of Varnashrama dharma is to go to Lord's abode.
Can you go to Lord's abode by performing Varnashrama duties?
If it is for the pleasure of the Lord.
If it is with bhakti, if it is performed along with bhakti, it can. Yeah. If there is no bhakti and you are simply performing Varnashrama duties, can you go to Vaikuntha?
There is no bhakti at all, there is no Vishnu.
That's why I am saying.
And
without
if
Vishnu,
there is no Vishnu, then how can they go to the Lord?
That's what I am saying. The dharma, artha, kama are only accomplished if only there is some bhakti along with karma. Just by performing Varnashrama duties, one's dharma, artha, kama are not accomplished. I don't know. Am I making you clear or not? Dharma, artha, kama means what? Performing the duties as per one's position in the Varna and Ashrama. The duties can also be performed without any element of bhakti. Yes or no?
Yes.
But that performance is simply waste of time.
So if a person is actually worshipping only Ganesh, and they cannot actually have their kama, or they cannot actually have artha, they can have.
What kama they will have, what artha they will have?
If at all whatever the karma which they want to fulfill. Like how the devatas actually the list of.
So what is the final result of that? What is the final result of fulfilling the such kind of desires with the help of devatas?
That may be Shrama eva.
That is the effect. What is the final result? They are born in this material world.
Yes.
There is no point in simply worshipping the devatas and not getting out of this material world. The purpose of following dharma, artha, kama, moksha is to get out of this material world. That is only accomplished by the element of bhakti. When there is an element of bhakti in that.
Only dharma, artha, kama, would they be fulfilled or not? Then yes, they can be fulfilled.
Purpose is not accomplished. What is the purpose of following dharma, artha, kama? That is not just to fulfill the desires. Purpose is eventually becoming qualified to get into moksha aspect. So otherwise there is no point. So that's what I'm saying. Just by performing nishkama karma yoga, one is awarded swarga. But the person interested in moksha will not accept swarga. Because he is not going to swarga, he will be qualified to enter into vanaprastha or sannyas order to practice jnana or yoga. By the practice of jnana yoga, he will be qualified to get moksha. So that is the purpose of accomplishment. Purpose of performing household duties in order to accomplish dharma, artha, kama is to get a qualification to enter into vanaprastha or sannyas, so that they can practice jnana or ashtanga yoga, practicing which they can get moksha. But with the integral element of bhakti from the beginning. Without element of bhakti, if they follow varna notice very thoroughly as a householder, okay, even though they may take forcefully the sannyasa, but they will not get moksha. Bhagavad Gita we discussed 54, 55. Brahmabhuta prasannatma nasochati nakanksati samas sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktin labate varam. Having come to the pinnacle of mode of goodness, they need to give up the jnana, yoga. Now what they remain with? Bhakti. Only that bhakti will give the realization of Brahman or Paramatma or Bhagavan. Then only they get Sahajya Mukti or Salokya Sarish Samampe Mukti. Otherwise, without bhakti, they will not get. That's why bhakti should be there as an integral part from the very beginning. Without bhakti, nothing can accomplish their respective results. Apparently, when Shastra says that karma, by karma one gets swarga, means that is not just karma, that is a bhakti mishra karma. Then the element of bhakti is very minimal, it is not spoken of very evidently. So karma gives swarga means bhakti mishra karma gives swarga. Jnana or yoga gives moksha means bhakti mishra yoga, bhakti mishra karma, bhakti mishra jnana will give Sahajya Mukti. That is understanding. Bhakti is the integral part.
Yesterday, you mentioned that when a person has to go to Brahmacharya or the Lord's abode, they need to actually give up the practice of jnana and yoga at a particular
after point. Practicing and after perfecting it, not without practicing. That is understanding.
If a jnani has practiced it and perfected it, then what will be his next practice?
Bhakti.
How will the jnani be performing the Kevala Bhakti in the next life like that?
No, वही life में, why next life? वही life में. If one's practice is very strong, वही life में करेगा.
So
see, when you give up mode of goodness, you don't stay in the material world anymore. Of course, one can stay here as a Jivan Mukta. Of course, both possibilities are there. You can perform in the next same life also. You can take birth and perform in the next life also. That is, both possibilities are there.
So now if we understand of one case that he is practicing in the very same life, after perfecting the jnana, that he has understood that he is not the body, he has realized the self. Then he actually performs in 9 limbs of bhakti.
Not 9. Yeah. Most probably they will practice only smaranam. Because they are not acquainted with Archana Mandala. How will they practice Archanam?
So they will be practicing
Smaranam. Smaranam is very close to their Dhyanam and other things. So they will do Smaranam only. One is enough. You don't have to do all the 9. Devotees will do all the 9 from the beginning till the end. But the Jnanis and Yogis, they are very much acquainted with.
So then when we are saying that only bhakti and the limb which they are actually performing is Smaranam. And is this the same Kevala Bhakti which is referred as the Uttama Bhakti according to Rupa Goswami and Shaka Swami? Or are they both referred?
Yeah, Anyabhastam jnana karma, there is no jnana and karma now.
Yes.
So that is no bhakti.
So then the destination of them, how can it be Brahma Jyoti?
That is what they want. Because they want Brahma Jyoti, they get Brahma Jyoti. And some yogis, some jnanis, they want to enter into Vaikuntha also, but they only get Sarishti or Salokya Mukti.
Okay.
Because they don't want to serve the Lord in person, so they don't got Samipya or Sarupya.
Another question. When a practitioner is actually performing all this practice, would he be actually coming under the contact of a pure devotee? There is a Kevala Bhakta, Uttama Adhikari or Madhyama Adhikari. Or would he not be actually coming in the contact of that, and irrespective of that he is practicing all this and can attain that also? Even
for anyone, they have Guru in their life. In the Brahmacharya Ashram, Guru is there, na?
But
that Guru will tell about.
Would that devotee be a pure devotee or
not necessary? Madhyama Bhakta is also enough. Why you want only pure devotee always?
No, pure devotee in the sense one who knows that the pure devotional service is the goal of the life. That understanding.
If that understanding is given in the beginning only, then he will practice pure bhakti only.
Right.
But the Guru is of the same type. Since the Guru is a Bhakti Mishra Jnani, so they will become attracted to Bhakti Mishra Jnana. Whatever Guru teaches, the disciple will learn that only. You studied in a local university from a local teacher, that much only you know. If you have studied in an IIT from an IIT teacher, you will get the IIT understanding. What student follows is based on what he receives from the Guru. What kind of Guru, that is what the student follows.
Whenever we actually tell in the processes, they actually quit their jnana and yoga. It only actually indicates they are actually following the same Bhakti Mishra jnana.
No. Quit means now that is not required. See, try to understand with this example. As a householder, they are performing household duties. When they take to Vanaprastha or Sannyasa, do they need to practice household duties?
No.
That means they have already perfected a gross ashram. Now they are qualified to enter into Vanaprastha or Sannyasa. Now they are practicing the duties of Vanaprastha Sannyasa. What are the duties of Vanaprastha Sannyasa? Jnana. Jnana, including tapasya and vairagya, are the duties of Vanaprastha Sannyasa. And by practicing that, they have come to Brahmabhuta platform. They have come to Samadhi. Then they don't have to practice the practice of tapasya and vairagya. They have already realized. They are now saying that I am not the body. Then why tapasya? Tapasya is meant to purify the body and mind. वो purify हो गया, बाद में करने की जरूरत नहीं. Now what to do? Now realization of the self is over. Now we need to realize the Paramatma or Brahman or Bhagavan. That is possible by bhakti. Then they need to practice bhakti alone. Till now they were practicing tapasya, vairagya and bhakti. Now tapasya, vairagya done. Now they need to practice bhakti alone. आप लोगों को सब कुछ क्या बोलते हैं?
We are trying to synthesize the past understandings and the new teachings.
So past understanding and this will be entirely different. What you generally hear is different from this. But if you understand this, we'll actually understand what exactly the sadhana is all about. How does different sadhanas work? What karma is all about, how does karma works, what jnana is all about, how jnana works, or what yoga is all about, how yoga works, what bhakti is all about, how bhakti works. So this is a clear-cut understanding we have. Then there will be no doubt what is what. By pure bhakti alone, the highest result can be achieved, and without bhakti, the highest results cannot be achieved. Thus, bhakti is fixed as the best among the sadhanas by showing what is achieved by it positively and what is not achieved by its absence. Without the element of bhakti, karma does not award swarga. Jnana does not award moksha. But by bhakti alone, without karma, one can go to swarga. By bhakti alone, without jnana, one can go to apavarga. And bhakti alone can award prema, which cannot be awarded by Bhakti Mishra Karma, Bhakti Mishra Karma, Bhakti Mishra Jnana, Bhakti Mishra Yoga. Bhakti Mishra Jnana, Bhakti Mishra Yoga can award one moksha, but not prema. Prema can only be awarded by bhakti alone. That is the glorious position of bhakti.
In another context, to refute the Gnani's statements, when they actually say, they actually say that in the initial stage, the person actually tries to practice bhakti, and then he evolves and he actually practices Gnana. And that's how Advaita Acharya was actually propagating from the Yoga Vasishtha. So then how do we actually understand? Because they are actually following a particular scripture, and that scripture tries to highlight a particular form. So that is why they are actually emphasizing the Gnana as the highest and Bhakti as the inferior.
That is there. The Jnana practice always says Jnana is the highest. Jnana is awarding moksha. But Bhagavad Gita clearly says, even that Jnana also can award moksha only by bhakti. In the ultimate sense. Without the element of bhakti, even Jnana cannot award any result. Who Prabhu? Brahmabhuta prasannatma nasochiti nikanchi samasarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktin labate varam. At that point of time, one need to give up Jnana, then practice bhakti alone in order to realize Paramatma or Bhagavad Brahman. Then only they get moksha. Without bhakti, one will not get moksha only. So it's like that. These two verses are like our fundamental principles. Should not forget. Even the deep sleep also, when you get up, you should speak that. That are next verse. Akama sarvakamo mokshakamo udarde tivrena bhakti yogena yajata purusham par. This is the positive aspect of bhakti, is said. By bhakti, everything will be getting. One get everything. Bhakti fulfills Anvaya criteria and all other sadhanas fail Vitreka criteria. Without bhakti, no other sadhanas can fulfill their respective desires. But bhakti alone can fulfill the results of all other sadhanas. And what is the negative aspect? The absence of bhakti is illustrated in the following. Mukhabaruhu padebhya purushasyaashramai saha chatvaru jajnire varna gunair vipradaya pratak. Yaesham purusham sakshat atma prabhavam ishwaram nabajanti avijananti sthanat brashtat patanti ada. Read.
Each of the four social orders headed by the Brahmanas was born through the different combinations of the modes of nature. From the face, arms, thighs, and feet of the Supreme Lord in his universal form, along with the ashramas.
See, from the face, Brahmanas came. From the arms, Kshatriyas came. From the thighs, Vaishyas came. From the feet, Shudras came. Like that, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Sannyasi represent the face. Brahmachari represent the feet. Grahastha represent the belly. Brahmachari, Grahastha, Vanaprastha, hands. Sannyasi, the face. Something like that. That understanding is there in the Bhagavatam. They also appear from the different body limbs of the Supreme Lord. Then next.
If any of the members of the four Varnas and four ashramas fail to worship or disrespect the Lord, who is the source of their own creation, they will fall down from their ashram.
Ya Esham Purusham Sakshat Atma Prabhavam Ishwaram. All the four Varnas and four ashramas, along with their duties, are manifested from different bodily limbs of the universal form. But na bhajanti avajananti, without proper understanding whom to worship, whom not to worship, if they fail to worship the Supreme Lord, sthanat brashtat patanti ada. If they are Brahmanas now, in the next life they become Kshatriyas, in the next life they become Vaishyas, in the next life they become Shudras. They actually fall down from their current position. If they fail to worship the Supreme Lord by performing their Varnashrama duties. This is the result. They are performing their Varnashrama duties pakka, but they are not worshipping the Lord. The result is they will come to the lower grade, the lower order. It's like that.
This follows the title of Vitreka.
Bhakti fulfills Vitreka and Varnashrama fails Anvaya. They are performing Varnashrama duties, but without bhakti. So it will not give expected results. Instead, they are falling down. By not performing bhakti along with karma, varnashrama duties, they are falling down. So results are not coming. That's why bhakti fulfills vitareka and varnashrama fails anvaya. This is another classic example which we discussed in the fourth chapter. Tapasvino dana para yashasvino manasvino mantravida sumangala kshemam na vindanti vinaya darpanam tasmai shubhadra shravase namo namaha. Read.
Offer continual respect to the Lord, full of auspicious qualities. Without worshipping him, jnanis, karmis, specialized karmis, yogis, scholars of the Vedas and followers of the proper conduct cannot attain any benefit.
Yeah. Whether somebody is a jnani, yogi, karmi or any other process, if they do not offer the results unto Supreme Lord, vina yadarpanam, kshemam na vindanti, they do not get the expected results. Bhakti fulfills vitareka and varnashrama fails anvaya. Without bhakti, no result will come. Performing those sadhana alone, the result is not coming. So it's like that. There are no restrictions for place and time concerning this sadhana. So now that is sarva anvaya vitareka is over. Now sarvatra sarvada. Now the same four processes. So whether there is it possible to practice at all times, at all places? That is the question. Whichever sadhana can be practiced at all places, at all times, is the best sadhana. So there are no restrictions of place and time concerning bhakti. In all places. Third and fourth. In all places, with all candidates and at all times, this should be performed with steadiness. However, one must perform karma with purity in a pure place, and one can attain jnana only with a pure mind. There are prerequisites to practice karma and jnana. Karma and jnana cannot be performed in all places and at all times. Ashtanga yoga, where you can practice? There is already limitation. Sucho deshe pratisthapya sukham asanam atmana. Yunjad yogam atma vishuddhe. The yogi should perform yoga after establishing himself comfortably on a seat in a pure place. There is a restriction in respect to place. In terms of time, karma is practiced only until one attains detachment from enjoyment. Karma only Grihastha can practice. One cannot practice karma throughout one's life. A brahmachari cannot practice karma. A vanaprastha sannyasi cannot practice karma. Only a Grihastha can practice karma. Similarly, yoga is practiced only until one attains siddhi. Sankhya is practiced only until one has attained knowledge. Jnana is performed only until liberation. After liberation, there is no use of jnana or ashtanga yoga. But bhakti can be practiced at all places, at all times. These methods are not practiced at all times. Bhakti, however, is well known for being practiced at all times and at all places. Nadesha niyamas tatra nakala niyamas tata. No chishadau nishedosti stri harer nama lubdake.
Previous thing for jnana, if they have already attained the liberation, then why would the question of actually practicing at any time or any place?
After going to Vaikuntha, what the devotee will do? In order to go to Vaikuntha, what does he do? Bhakti only. Bhakti is continuing even after liberation also.
But when we are trying to prove the point that which sadhana is the best, then if we are quoting and saying that jnana,
so you mean to say that getting Sahajya Mukti is the best destiny? That is best sadhya?
No, that will again depend on the sadhya. Sadhana, when we are defining the sadhana irrespective of the processes, irrespective of the sadhya.
No. In order to attain the best sadhya, what kind of sadhana one should choose? That is the question. Here we are establishing a sadhana which will give the best sadhya. What is mentioned in third shloka? Where the Lord will reciprocate with the devotee in person, the way devotee wants. Where? In Brahman? In Vaikuntha? From Gaudiya point of view, it may be Goloka, but in general, Vaikuntha. So who can go to Vaikuntha? How can one go to Vaikuntha? And what one will do after going to Vaikuntha? All these matters. Even we discussed in another class, we mentioned, after going to Brahman, what the Bhakti Mishra Jnani, Bhakti Mishra Yogi will do after going to Brahman? What they will do? Even after entering into Brahman, also they continue to Bhakti. They don't do Jnana. There also they do something. That is Bhakti. That's why Bhakti is everlasting, not Jnana. In order to go to Brahman, also they need to practice Bhakti. After going to Brahman, also they will practice Bhakti.
The perception of Bhakti of Jnanis performing in the Brahmajyoti is different from the perception of Bhakti which the Bhaktas actually.
That is the problem. Which kind of Jnani you are talking about? The Mayavadis will never attain Sayujya. Only Brahmavadis will attain Sayujya. Brahmavadis do accept Brahman, Paramatman, and Bhagavan. They know Bhakti, they need to practice. They practice Bhakti.
They are always in Shantaras.
They want Shantaras. That is the problem. That is the only thing. They have an inclination towards Shantaras. That's why they are going to Brahman. बस उतना ही. अभी आपका सेवा से कुछ तकलीफ हो गया तो क्या करेंगे? एक दिन सेवा स्थान में जाएंगे, आराम करेंगे. पीस चाहिए मुझे, कोई डिस्टर्बेंस नहीं चाहिए. प्रसादन के लिए भी नीचे नहीं जाऊंगा. प्रसादन भी मेरे पास आना चाहिए सेवा स्थान. मैं कुछ करना नहीं चाहता हूँ. मेरा कपड़ा भी वॉशिंग मशीन में वॉश करेंगे. ब्रूमिंग भी नहीं करूंगा, सर्वेंट आके करेंगे. मैं क्या करेंगे? शांत रस. सो जाऊंगा आराम से, आराम करेंगे. Going to सेवा स्थान like going to Brahman.
Original Brahman जाने की जरूरत नहीं. Original Brahman जाने की जरूरत नहीं. Staying in the temple and performing service, right?
It's like the सेवा है आपको. जो भी सेवा लिस्ट आते रहेगा. कभी-कभी अड़क सेवा also comes. It's like there everything is provided for you. Only bliss, no anxiety. Here there is anxiety. सेवा के लिए anxiety. So it's like that. So, in chanting the names of the Lord, there is no restriction concerning the place or time, or restrictions on performance because of impurity. Does any limitations are there for performing Harinam Sankirtan? Any limitations? But who can practice Nishkama Karma Yoga, all the rituals in the household order? Who can practice Nishkama Karma Yoga?
Yes.
Which kind of Grahastha? A Shudra Grahastha can perform? May not be. He may not be having so much inclination to perform all those things. A Vaishya Grahastha, Kshatriya Grahastha, Brahmana Grahastha only can perform Nishkama Karma Yoga. Shudra Grahastha cannot perform. And Vanaprastha, who all can enter into Vanaprastha?
Then only the first 3 ashramas only will be able to actually perform the yoga.
No. Who all can enter into Vanaprastha? Only Kshatriyas and Brahmanas. Vaishyas cannot enter into Vanaprastha. Who can enter into Sannyas? Only Brahmanas, not even Kshatriyas. That's why Krishna says, what is this? What are you speaking? You want to become sannyasi? You are not qualified to become sannyasi. How can you become sannyasi? It is not for you. It is meant for Brahmanas only. Like that, Krishna dismisses Arjuna's proposal. Kshatriyas even cannot become sannyasis. They can become Vanaprastha. Vaishyas cannot become Vanaprasthas. Shudras can remain as Grihasthas, but they may not be able to perform all the Grihastha duties like the others, all the samskaras like the others perform. They may perform in an imitation way, but they don't have that inclination or qualification to do all the activities with Nishtha. It's like that. Traditionally, ये सब है प्रभु जी, सब restrictions है. But for bhakti, no restrictions. Anyone, everyone, any place can practice. तस्मात् सर्वात्मा नाराजन् हरि सर्वत्र सर्वदा श्रोतव्या कीर्तव्यश्च स्मर्तव्या भगवान् ऋणाम्.
O king, therefore, at all times and all places, without restriction, men should hear about, glorify, and remember the Supreme Lord with full concentration of mind.
Bhakti can be practiced sarvatra and sarvada. This verse clearly mentions about sarvatra sarvada. Bhakti fulfills the category of sarvatra and sarvada. Can karma fulfill sarvatra sarvada? Jnana, Ashtanga yoga? No. The practice of bhakti is also applicable to all types of people, including the practitioners of karma and jnana. It is even to be performed by the most fallen by birth or activities. Kirata hunandra pulinda pulkasha abira shumba yavana kashadaya eyanna cha papa edapashraya ashraya shuddhanti tasmai prabha vishnu nama. Anyone by taking to bhakti can be purified immediately by the potency of bhakti and can attain Krishna prema. But can these people can practice nishkama karma? No, they are not qualified to practice nishkama karma yoga. They will not have any inclination to practice that. What to speak of may or may not. Ritualistic practice does not help. So-called practice does not help. One should actually follow that. Doing something means doing the way it is supposed to be done, not superficially doing. Not like the so-called marriage ceremony that is performed nowadays. Marriage ceremony means that involves so many rules and regulations to be followed. It is a long procedure of 1 week proceedings. It is a proper bona fide samskara. It should be performed Vedic way. Then only it is said to be performed. Otherwise, so-called marriage ceremony performing in a function hall with showing one's pomp and all these things. Neither the visitors are interested or the host is interested in all the rituals. They say, "Pujari ji, जल्दी खत्म कर दो, बहुत टाइम हो गया, लेट हो रहा है, लोगों को खाने का निकलने का." Those people who come for the marriage also, they come only for the lunch time. They are not interested in all the rituals that are performed in the marriage. Things are happening from the last 3 days. In the past, marriage means all the relatives would come to the host house 3 days in advance. They would stay 3 days more. Marriage would be like 1 week's activity. Nowadays, it has become a photo snap activity. There is no use of doing all this. That's why Shudras cannot perform all the rituals. What is happening around is all Janmane Jayate Shudra or Kalo Shudra Sambhava. They are only imitation marriages, not actual marriages. So it is like that. Bhakti can be practiced in all the stages of life. Prahlada practiced in the womb. Yes? Can one practice karma jnana yoga in the womb? Dhruva Maharaj practiced when he was a child. Can karma yoga performed in the childhood? Karma yoga means wife and husband together. Without marriage, one cannot practice karma yoga. But bhakti can be practiced. He only tells, Kaumaram achare dharman bhagavatam iha. Only bhakti can be practiced from the age of Kaumara, not karma, not jnana, not yoga. Ambarisha practiced as a youth. It can be practiced even in hell. Hell also one can practice bhakti. Muccheta yen namni udite narakopi. Even a person in hell will be liberated by chanting the names of the Supreme Lord. Yata yata harer nama kirtayani chanaraka. Tata tata harer bhaktin uddhavanto divam yav.
When those in hell chant the name of the Lord, they develop bhakti to the Lord and go to the spiritual world.
In this way, bhakti has been distinguished as the proper sadhana among karma, jnana, yoga, and bhakti. Bhakti in the form of prema is also indicated by reading an extra meaning in this verse. Prema is indicated by the word etavad, so much. The person desiring to know about the truth should inquire about the best among the material enjoyment, liberation, and prema. The person, the sadhaka, who is desiring the best, should evaluate the material enjoyment, the enjoyment in Brahman, and the enjoyment in Vaikuntha with prema, which will be supreme at all times and at all places by positive and negative indications. We should evaluate what is what, which stands where, pros and cons. Material enjoyment of Swarga and liberation, the enjoyment of liberation, are not shown as the supreme by results in performance and lack of results by not performance. Prema, however, is shown to be supreme by the effect of its performance and the effects of its non-performance. So, like that, it is indicated. So, like that, there are a few more points. It's all the same thing, continuation of the same things. So, thus, it's both okay. Thus, 4 shlokas of Catus-sloki-bhagavatam are indicating us what is the sambandha we should understand, what is the abhidaya we should understand, what kind of prajna we should understand, for what we need to endeavor for. So, like everything has been established in these 4 shlokas. That's why it is said as Catus-sloki-bhagavatam means the essence of all the Vedas is very, very, very concisely presented in these 4 shlokas, indicating prema as the ultimate goal of life. And the means is sadhana bhakti, which can be performed at all times, at all places, which can follow the Anvaya and Vyatira criteria. So that is understood. So briefly, we'll go through the rest of the verses of this chapter. We need to complete this chapter today, maybe 10-15 minutes more. Etanmatam samatishta paramena samadhina bhavan kalpa vikalpeshu na vimuhyati karhichet.
Follow my instructions in detail with extreme concentration. You will not be bewildered at any time during your lifetime and its subdivisions.
If you follow the instructions of these 4 verses, you are not bewildered throughout your entire lifespan. How is it possible for me to understand the deep meaning of these 4 verses summarizing the Bhagavatam? There are many opinions among those who argue. Different people reading these 4 verses, different meanings. How will I understand? Undertake my directions completely. This means contemplate this with concentration. In the Mahakalpa lasting your lifetime and its subdivisions, you will not be bewildered at any time. If you contemplate on the meaning of these 4 verses and understand it and follow it, you will never be bewildered throughout your entire life. Here ends the commentary on the 4 verses. The Sarartha Darshini commentary, written for the benefit of all humanity, should be seen by persons studying the devotional literature and not others. The meanings which are explained by our previous acharyas, which Prabhupada translates in his commentary, are only for the devotees, not for others. Others will not understand and appreciate it. Then what speak of following it? Only devotees can understand, appreciate, and follow and benefit their lives. So this is exclusively for the devotees. Others may have different opinions. Let them have their opinions. But devotees follow this understanding. Like that, Srila Vishnu Chaktavar says.
The others will interpret the very same 4 verses of Bhagavatam
In a quite impersonal way, they interpret. The other jnanis and yogis, they quite impersonal way they can interpret the meaning of these 4 verses.
They have their understanding for Srimad Bhagavatam also.
If required, they will have. Why not?
Is there impressionist?
We don't know. But since these 4 verses are like Upanishadic way, these 4 verses are compiled like Upanishad. That's why they comment on Bhagavad Gita, because the language of Bhagavad Gita is like the Upanishad language. That's why they comment on Bhagavad Gita. Though Bhagavad Gita is part of Mahabharata, Smriti, which they don't accept. The language, these 4 words also the same language, very technical. But they comment on these 4. May not be whole Bhagavatam. Verses like this, some technical verses like this, they comment. And they say, आपका भागवत में बोल रहे हैं ब्रह्मन के बारे में, आप क्या बोल रहे हैं भक्ति भक्ति भक्ति. But this Anvaya Vyatireka, this elaborate analysis is done by our acharyas in order to help us understand what is what, where what stands. When they come with arguments, you should be equipped with all this thorough analysis so that you can counter their arguments. Today only Madhya Sannyasi has come. They are always eager to have debates with this.
पता है मुझे वो भी debates होता है.
हाँ होता है, नित्यानंद प्रभु बता रहता है, अभी भी होता है.
Really?
हाँ debates होते रहते हैं. They invite Sringeri Mayavadis and they have nice debate. It goes to the extent that Chillam Chilli fighting with each other, and just to pacify them, they say that, yeah, the mediator, you will say that, yeah, it seems that we have not come to any conclusion, but the Advaitiyans have so many nice arguments to make. So we'll conclude here and we'll meet once again next time. Like that they stop. And in order to pacify them, they give more dakshina to the Mayavadi scholars than the dakshina which is given to Madhva scholars.
Mediator लेकिन कहाँ से होता है?
So he's telling that mediator, generally the mediator used to be the guru of the Vishwaprasamati Swami. The Pejor previous Swami there, he used to be acting as the mediator. Yeah, they used to host the entire event, so he used to act as the mediator. And Madhva devotees and Shankara devotees, Shankara followers, they kind of debate. The debate would go for 5, 6 hours, 7, 8 hours, like that.
Intellectual रहता है इसलिए लंबा जाएगा.
हाँ
Intellectual रहेगा तो लंबा जाएगा.
श्री शुक उवाच.
Who can actually
आप है ना, आप लोग है ना, आप लोग करेंगे.
आप भी नित्यानंद प्रभु है, मुकुंद वाला प्रभु है.
Even in my regular class also, somebody asks some debatable question, I say, I'm sorry, I don't know. Even though I know the answer. Never ever get into debates. Not good.
Even our acharyas doesn't actually encourage.
Let us follow in the footsteps of Rupa Goswami. आपको डिबेट करने का, I'm happy to accept your victory. Go ahead. So like that. Sri Shuka Uvacha Sampradisyaiva Ajano Jnanam Parameshtinam Pashyatas Tasya Tadrupam Atmano Nirunadari.
Shuka said, the Lord who is beyond the material world, having instructed Brahma, the creator of progeny, then made his form disappear while Brahma watched.
Lord spoke Catus-sloki-bhagavatam, then disappeared. Brahma was simply gazing at the Lord. Simple. After thus instructing Brahma, the Lord disappeared. Antarhitendriyartaya haraye vihitanjali sarvabhutamayo vishwam sasarjedam sa purvavat.
Brahma folded his hands in respect to the Lord, whose qualities are the object of devotee senses, and who had disappeared. Brahma, the total of all living beings, then created this universe as he had done in the previous life.
When Lord disappeared, Brahma just offered namaskar, obeisances, look gazing at the Supreme Lord. The form of the Lord is the essence of the senses. If the senses are not seeing the form of the Lord, they are simply wasted. You remember? 3rd chapter mein Shaunaka Rishis are telling Barahai tete nayana naranam lingani Vishnu na nirishtoye. If the eyes are not seeing the form of the Lord, they are simply like the eyes on the peacock feather. It's like that. So he is looking at the form of the Lord, that is like the object of the devotee senses, Indriya Artaya. After that, Brahma created 14 planetary systems and created different forms for the different living entities as it was in the previous day, something like that. So what did you do? How did you do? Is all explained in the 3rd canto. 3rd canto goes into more details. Here it is mentioned in one sentence. Indriya Artaya means unto him whose qualities such as beauty are the object of the senses. Purvat means in the previous kalpa or the previous day of Brahma. By this, it is understood that Brahma's bewilderment and seeing his daughter took place in the previous kalpa, not after hearing the instructions of the 4 verses of Bhagavatam. For the Lord has just said that in this kalpa, Brahma would not be bewildered. If you contemplate on these instructions of the 4 verses, you will never be bewildered, like that Lord told. So Acharya saying that, so Lord following after Vagdevi, Brahma following after Vagdevi might have happened in the previous.
But is this Catus-sloki-bhagavatam not spoken on the first day of Brahma?
Now the Alnashnika Kalpa is not this Brahma, some other Brahma that past time happened, not with this Brahma. Even the past time when it's spoken also, so the Maitreya said that that's how we have heard. We have not seen it. We have just heard. When it happened, where it happened, we don't know. By that past time is spoken, na? Even a personality like Brahma also can be bewildered if they become inattentive for some time. Tas srishta srishta srishteshu kon vakandita dimuman rishim Narayana mrute yoshit mayeya maya. Who except other than the devotees of the Supreme Lord can become immune to the Maya of the Lord in the form of a woman. Even Brahma's children, their children, everyone can be affected by Maya in the form of woman, except those who take shelter of the Supreme Lord. It's like that. Except devotees, all others can be bewildered by Maya. That is understanding.
So that Brahma is not the very same Brahma, but the previous Brahma.
That's how it is mentioned. Not this current Brahma, because Brahma heard Catus-sloki-bhagavatam the very first day. This Brahma will never be able to be bewildered by Maya. So the bewilderment of Brahma which is spoken in the third canto is of a different Brahma, like that Acharya say.
Different Brahma means a different.
Yeah, in a different creation, the previous creation. The bewilderment of Brahma when Krishna appeared on earth during this kalpa must be understood to be a pastime produced by the mercy of the Lord. That is Yogamaya potency. Lord Brahma be mistaking Lord Krishna whether he is Lord or not, the doubt is due to Yogamaya potency, not by Mahamaya. Like that it is indicated. Prajapatir Dharmapatir Ekada Niyaman Badram Prajanam Anvichan Ahtita Sartakamya.
Once Brahma, Lord of Dharma, desiring the benefit of the progeny, followed rules and regulations to fulfill his desire.
Brahma is the teacher. He always wants the benefit of everyone. So he follows his rules and regulations very pakka, without any doubt. After this, the conversation between Narada and Brahma, which was previously described in 2.5, took place. 5 verses describe these conditions under which this conversation took place. Desiring benefit for the progeny Brahma followed the rules and regulations, teaching others by his own personal conduct. Apna acharati Prabhu Sabha Shikayala. With his own purpose in mind, let them also follow these rules, like I am following. Once Brahma, desiring the benefit of his progeny, followed the rules and regulations to fulfill his desire. Tam Narada Priyatamo Rikta Dhanam Manuvrata Susrushamana Shilena Prashrayena Damena Cha Mayam Vividishan Vishnor Maye Shasya Mahamuni Mahabhagavato Rajan Pitaram Paryatoshayat.
Narada, the dearest to Brahma, among all his sons, was devoted to his father and obedient. O king, this great devotee, this great sage, desiring to understand the Maya of Vishnu, the master of Maya, satisfied his father by his proper conduct, respect, and sense control.
Yeah. Lord Brahma had many children. Who are all the children? You will know in the third canto. Third canto details are mentioned. Among all the children, Narada is the most dearest son to Lord Brahma. Okay. So this Narada, who is very much obedient to his father, one day approached his father, served his father. For the sake of Pariprashna, he did seva. With seva, he pleased Lord Brahma. Then he came to Brahma. He asked for a prashna. What is that Pariprashna? Maya Vividishan Vishnur Maye Shasya Mahamuni. Desiring to understand the Maya of Lord Vishnu, the master who is the master of Maya, satisfied his father with proper conduct, respect, and sense control. So Narada Muni wanted to understand that how did Lord Vishnu performs various pastimes in relation to Mahamaya. That was the desire with which he served Lord Brahma very nicely. Lord Brahma very much pleased. Then what happened? Rikta means inheritance. Rikta Dana means a son who inherits the wealth of the father. Narada was the dearest son of Brahma. Among the wealth of Brahma's wealth is Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. Also Ashtanga Yoga. Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga, these are the different possessions of Lord Brahma, which are belonging to Lord Brahma. Daksha and other great sages obtained Karma Yoga as their inheritance property. The four Kumaras obtained Jnana Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga their inheritance. And Narada Muni obtained Bhakti Yoga as his inheritance because of his outstanding qualities. Anuvrata means that he was the devotee to his father. Mayam refers to the material energy or to the mercy of the Lord. Narada desired to understand the variegated nature of Maya. Vishnu is the master of material Maya. O Maya Shasya or Maya Shasya can mean of he who controls everything by his mercy. Narada was devoted to his father and obedient with a desire to understand Vishnu Maya. He satisfied his father by proper conduct, respect and sense control. Okay. So what did Narada ask Lord Brahma? That is what is mentioned in the 5th chapter. Yat rupam yadadishtanam yatasrishnam idam prabhu yes samsam tat tattvam vadatvatah. Those are the questions. Please tell me, how did Lord create? How did he maintain? Where from this universe is appearing? On which it is depend upon? Where it goes after annihilation, etc., etc. Those are the inquiries made by Narada at that point of time. Tushtam nishamya pitaram lokanam prapitamaham devarshi pariparcha paripraprucha bhavan yanmani pruchmani pruchati.
Seeing that his father, the great grandfather of the worlds, was satisfied, Narada asked him, "What have you asked me?"
What you have asked me. So what questions Narada Muni asked? So my dear Parikshit, whatever questions you are asking me, the same questions he asked. In the 4th chapter, Parikshit Maharaj asked Sukadeva Goswami to know about the creation pastimes. Then he took the conversation of Narada and Brahma. There could be a question. When did Narada ask Brahma? No. Here he is asking. So you might have a question, did Narada ask these questions in the first day of Brahma? May not be. He might have asked the same question the first day of Brahma also. And Narada might ask the same question again today also. Today, he asked ka din. Question can come aaj ka din also. So let us take for the benefit of doubt. He asked today only. Today morning only Narada approached Brahma and asked this question. Can you please explain about Maya? How did Lord Vishnu perform pastimes in relation to Mahamaya?
Why should we actually understand it today? Is there any significance?
Because we are interested in the recent history. May not be like ancient history. If it is asked with the long back, because this conversation led to the discussion between Narada and Vyasa, which took place very recently. So for that purpose. Of course, Narada is doing the same service from the beginning. For the last 50 years, he does the same service. He is doing the same now. He will continue to do the same another for the another 50 years also. 50 years of Brahma.
Because again, the next question comes, if he has asked it today, then what was his understanding for the past 50 years?
Same understanding. He will ask the same question every day morning. Narada will ask same question every day morning. Lord Brahma will hear the meaning of the same 4 Catus-slokas every day morning. What we heard Catus-sloki-bhagavatam in the 9th chapter, the first day. Same Catus-sloki will be repeated again the 2nd, 3rd canto 9th chapter. There also Lord Vishnu speaks the same 4 verses with a different text, but the meaning is same. So aaj ka din bhi Brahma performs tapasya, had darshan of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and will ask him, please tell me why by doing the seva unto you, I will not be bewildered by false ego. Then Lord Vishnu speaks Catus-sloki-bhagavatam, but the meaning is same, the text will be different. वही बताएगा, 3rd canto में वही आएगा. So like that. This is the routine activity which happens every day. That's why I'm saying that Narada also approaches Brahma every day morning and asks so many questions. Brahma speaks the meaning of the Catus-sloki. And for us, what is happening now, we should take it as what happened today morning. आज का दिन क्या हुआ? ऐसा. So that we can relate to it more closely. So Tasmaidam Bhagavatam Puranam Dasalakshanam Proktam Bhagavata Praha Prita Putraya Bhutakrit.
Brahma, affectionate to Narada, then spoke to his son, the Bhagavad Puran, which was endowed with 10 characteristics and which was spoken by the Lord in 4 verses.
Then, being requested by Narada, Lord Brahma spoke a scripture known as Bhagavad Purana consisting of 10 characteristics, which was actually originally spoken by Lord unto him in 4 verses. the elaboration of the meaning of the 4 verses. What did Brahma spoke? Brahma spoke 5th chapter, 6th chapter, 7th chapter. 3 chapters he spoke. So the meaning of the 4 verses is elaborated in 3 chapters. And then what did Brahma say? Samasena. I spoke in brief. Sameta Vipulikuru. But you elaborate it. And then you travel everywhere and speak the same to you, each and everyone, whomsoever you come across. So like that. Brahma then spoke the scripture with 10 characters in detail, which the Lord had spoken in summary in 4 verses. Some say, however, that the Lord himself spoke the complete volume, 12 volumes, the entire scripture, endowed with 10 characters after speaking the 4 verses as summary. Some others say that Lord Narayana spoke the entire Bhagavatam to Brahma after speaking the 4 verses. Just like Arjuna heard from Lord Krishna 5 verses, 2nd chapter, 11 to 15. Arjuna was blank. Then Krishna elaborated the entire 2nd chapter, the meaning of the 5 verses. Still he was blank. He asked question, please tell me what to do. Then he spoke the entire Bhagavad Gita. So like that, after reading these 4 verses, when Lord Vishnu told that, okay, Samas, I mean, you contemplate on the meaning of these 4, then he might have said, sorry, I can't. Then Lord Vishnu spoke the entire Bhagavatam.
He spoke the entire Bhagavatam as a dialogue of Maitreya.
Not necessarily. They speak.
Principle.
They speak this principle. They don't have to refer to the dialogue between Maitreya and all that. When you write, you need to write in the recent activity. When Lord Narayana is speaking to Brahma, the essence of the 12 volumes is presented in their natural conversation. There is something called direct speech and indirect speech. You remember?
Yes.
What is the direct speech and what is the indirect speech? What is indirect speech? What is direct speech? What is indirect speech?
Direct speech is as it is quoted by a person. Indirect speech is as if a third person is actually telling what actually happened between those two. तो जो बीच वाला अगर प्रेजेंट में है तो पास्ट में वो इंटरव्यूट करते हैं. साइड आ गया तो अगर उसको लाप्स प्रेजेंट में तो इसका वो बोलेगा कि इन्होंने ऐसा बोला था.
Like that. इन्होंने ऐसा बोला. That is indirect speech. You are talking about what somebody else spoke to somebody else. And direct speech is that you are speaking as if you only spoke. So like that. When you write something, it should be in the indirect speech. This person is speaking to this person. These are the dialogues. Like that. When you're directly speaking, you speak the essence.
But generally, when you take this example, direct speech and indirect speech, unless the indirect speech is generated after the direct speech is spoken.
Yes.
But in the case of this, direct speech actually was generated after Lord has actually spoken.
But here, Lord is speaking the essence. Tattva is speaking. He may not be speaking the Leela. Only Tattva is being spoken. So like that we should do. If there is spoke or not, we don't know. Some say like that Lord spoke the entire Bhagavatam.
No, if actually Catus-sloki is actually saying this and attesting this, it means he is agreeing to it.
Yes, I am saying agreeing to it. But what he spoke is not the every detail in the Bhagavatam. He spoke essence. Every detail means, okay, Parishit Maharaj spoke to Parishit Maharaj so and so question, Sukadeva Goswami spoke so and so answer. Not like that. Not like a indirect speech. What they spoke is direct speech. What was the discussion between Sukadeva Goswami and Parishit Maharaj? That is only spoken. Not the questions, not the background for the question. All that is not spoken. So like that. Tattva. The Srishti Leela is presented. Leela Avatar Leela is presented. But not the characters who are speaking and who are hearing. That is deleted. So it's like that.
So the Lord, he himself was actually describing his own
obviously.
Leelas to Brahma.
Like Sanatana Goswami, Sanatana Shiksha. Through Sanatana Goswami is asking questions. Can you please elaborate about Kali Yuga Avatara? What are the different activities and attributes, the description of the form of the Kali Yuga Avatara? Yes, that is the question is there. And Sukadeva Goswami speaks about Kali Yuga Avatara. sir, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu speaking about Kali Avatara, and Sanatan Goswami is simply smiling. Bolo, we know easy. Ab bolte raho, hum sunte rahenge. It's like that. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu talks about the other avatars also in that Sadhana Shiksha, that last 5 chapters of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. That like that. Lord Vishnu speaking about himself only in his various avatars. So, that can be done. Have you ever read this Ekadashi Mahatmya? For every Ekadashi, if you go to calendar, there is Ekadashi Mahatmya. In that, Krishna is speaking to Vishnu Maharaj, in which also some pastimes comes, avatars pastimes come. Huh? So one Lord is speaking about other pastimes. So it's natural, it's normal. In Bhagavad Gita also Lord Krishna says, Tamaiva Sharanam Gacha, take shelter of him. Who is he? Vishnu. Vishnu ka shelter le lo. It's like, sometimes he says, me. Mamaiva Sharanam Prapadde. Sometimes my shelter, sometimes Vishnu shelter. So like that. It is always there. It's not a big thing. Arjuna himself says, if you don't explain about you, who will can explain? Vidur Devana Danava. Devatas and others will not understand about you. You only have to speak about you. Otherwise, who can explain about you? Arjuna says one of the verses in the 10th chapter of the Catus-sloki-bhagavatam. Nahite Bhagavan Vyaktim. Vidur Devana Danava. Unless until Bhagavan himself speaks about Bhagavan, who will understand about him? No one has any potential to understand about him. That's why Lord has to speak. That's why this the problem comes in the Vedic literatures. The Shrutis are the words directly spoken by the Lord. So this is the direct words spoken by the Lord, we accept it as an authority. Smritis are spoken by the sages. So we don't depend on the sages. We don't accept the sages as authorities. We can't. Maitreya is speaking to Parashara speaking to Maitreya, that is Vishnu Purana. We don't accept. Sutta Goswami is speaking to Sevanakadi Rishis, Bhagavatam. We don't accept. So he is not authority. Sutta Goswami is not authority. Maitreya is, Parashara is not authority. Maitreya is not authority. ऐसा करके स्मृति को नेगेट करते हैं. They say Shruti is only right. Shruti is the direct word of the Lord. So, but here we see, some say, however, the Lord himself spoke the entire Bhagavatam of 12 volumes, endowed with 10 characters, after speaking the 4 verses in summary. Then you should accept Bhagavatam as Shruti, not Smriti. Because people comment on Bhagavad Gita because it is spoken by the Lord. Even though it is part of Smriti, they accept as Shruti. By the direct word of the Lord. They give importance to direct word of the Lord, not for the acharyas, not for the other authors. Narada.
Narada. That case, even the Upanishads are actually Smritis.
No. Shruti.
But Upanishads also have the dialogues between one Krishna and the other. It is not exactly the.
May not be. It is not evidently spoken. Sometimes it comes, but Ishwamijat
is different.
But Ishwamijat ka bhi acharya hai. In the beginning of the commentary, if you see Madhvacharya's commentary, there is acharya name is there. Acharya ka naam hai, Shuddha ka naam bhi hai. But in the Upanishad, the name doesn't come. But in the Bhagavatam, Mahabharata, Ramayana, the name comes. From the very beginning only name comes. Though Upanishads are presented by some acharya to some other disciple, they are eternal. And the names don't come in the Upanishad. Are you getting? So it's like that. Narada praha munaye sarasvatyastate nripa dhyayate brahma paramam vyasa mita chetejasa.
Okay, Narada spoke, which to the sage Vyasa of unlimited powers, who was meditating on the Supreme Brahma on the bank of the Saraswati River.
After elaborating the meaning of the 4 verses, Brahma spoke to Narada in the form of 3 chapters. Then he requested Narada, you elaborate further and speak to everyone. So while speaking to everyone, after speaking to many people, recently he came to Vyasa. Where? On the bank of Saraswati. When? At the beginning of Kali Yuga. And he spoke to Vyasadeva, the same Bhagavatam, which comes in the first canto. What he spoke is chapter 5, chapter 6. Which is the essence of the entire Bhagavatam. 4 kidare, 5 and 6 only. Narada spoke to Brahma. Narayana spoke to Brahma. Brahma spoke to Narada. Narada spoke to Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva spoke to me. Sukadeva Goswami saying, I am speaking to you. In this way, the topic of the Lord was passed on perfectly through 6 great persons. Narayana, Brahma, Narada, Vyasa, Sukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. 6 people in parampara. Yedutaham tvaya prushto vairajat purushat idam yatasitad upakyaste prashnan anyamsa krishnasa.
I will explain what you asked me concerning how this universe arose from the universal form, and will answer all the other questions as well.
In the previous chapter, Parikshit Maharaj asked so many questions, starting with about universal form, etc. I will give the answers to all your questions by the explanation given in the Bhagavatam. You have asked me about the universal form, which Parikshit Maharaj asked in the 11th verse of the 8th chapter. The planets and other protectors were previously identified with the limbs of the Purusha in 2.1, and the limbs of the Purusha were identified with the planets in 2.5. This I have heard. If there are more details, please explain. Since the teaching of the 4 verses took place on the first day of Brahma's life, according to 2.8.28, the bewilderment would have to be in another Brahma's life. The Brahma's bewilderment following after walk.
Another Brahma's life. He is the same soul who has appeared in another universe.
Another Brahma means another Brahma soul. A Brahma devotee, because Bhagavatam spoken to him in the very first day only. Then he should not be bewildered. Who was bewildered? Some other Brahma bewildered. Because both are Brahma, story bataya tha. Brahma ka story bataya. Yes, sir.
I thought that another is for the life.
Another Brahma's life. I will answer that you have asked regarding the creation of the universe and other questions by referring to Srimad Bhagavatam, which was spoken by Narayana to Brahma, Brahma then to Narada, Narada then to Vyasa, Vyasa then to me. I am now to you. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.